Well, hello, welcome wherever you are joining us around the world. Welcome to a glorious evening here in Riyadh as we continue the countdown to what is quite simply one of the most anticipated combat sports events ever. Yeah, I'm going to say it, ever. The king of heavyweight boxing, the one and only lineal and WBC world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury takes on the king of heavyweight MMA, the lineal MMA heavyweight champion, the man who if he hits you, you tend to crumble. Francis Ngannou. Yesterday, they arrived. We saw them grandly arriving. Red carpets, plenty of flashes. Today, we'll see a very, very special public workout. We're going to get a little glimpse as to what's going to happen on Saturday night. They're going to put on a bit of a show. I'm hoping so anyway. But first, let's have a little reminder as to why we are where we are. I'll tell you what, every time I watch that promo, it just seems to get better and better. Do you know what? Guys, play it again. I want to watch it again. I've actually got Andy Clark with me, and I don't think he'd appreciate us just watching it over and over again. He is here, he is with me tonight, and every time I seem to get hold of him, he seems to go for a walk. We're in a wonderful, wonderful venue tonight, and he, once again, has left me and gone exploring. What are you up to, Andy?
So I'm going to take our fighters will be taking into these open workouts in just a few minutes' time. And actually, it's the same walk that the undercard fighters will be taking on the night, because this is where the undercard bouts will be. The main event of Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, that's in a slightly different arena, a slightly bigger arena just next door. So this is a great opportunity for the boxers to have a dress rehearsal tonight, go through that ring walk that they'll go through on Saturday. It's not the longest of walks, but when you take a look around, it's long enough to be able to soak up your surroundings and get a vibe of what this whole event is about. Gather your final thoughts before you walk up those steps. And in terms of the conditions, it is absolutely ideal. It's about 20 degrees of an evening in Riyadh this time of year. So warm enough that you're lovely and loose, not so warm that it'll have any impacts on your performance. And there's also just a lovely little breeze just fluttering around ringside, and the fighters will be very glad of that, I'm sure, when they're sat on their stools in between rounds.
I'll tell you what, Andy. We know we've got a big show. We know we've got something special when we see an Andy Clark slow walk to camera. You love that, didn't you?
I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that. It just gives you a sense of what they see basically when you walk down that ramp. I mean, that kind of bird's eye view. It's great, and this place, you know, it's pretty remarkable. I don't really have any frame of reference for this. I don't really have anything to compare this to in terms of an open workout, because I've never done an open workout in an arena before. I've never worked on a show where there's been an arena for the undercard and then the main event is in an even bigger arena next door. It's you know, we talk about levels in boxing, don't we? And this week so far, it's already shown us that it's on another level. It's on another level. And let me put this out there. I think a lot of fighters won't even get to fight in a place like this. This is just a workout. This is just the workout. A real indication as to what's coming up. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think they'll really enjoy it. As I said, that dress rehearsal aspect, that's really a thing, because you always see fighters, don't you, on the day of the fight, they'll go and make that walk. They want to know where they're going, but they'll do it in the afternoon generally, and it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
If you did it in the afternoon here, it would be nothing like the same because it'd be blisteringly hot. So doing this at the time they're doing it at, which will be almost exactly when they're boxing, you know, it's great for everybody here, but it's also really good for them. And the welfare of the fighters, the conditions for the fighters, you know, is such an important thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, today is all about the public workout. You've seen many in your time covering boxing. The fighters get in the ring. Some of them put on a little bit of a show. Some of them try and hold a little bit back. Don't want to give too much away. What are you expecting today, Andy?
It's hard to say, isn't it, with regard to the individuals. Sometimes they've trained during the day already and they just come here and just stretch, some of them, and just have a skip. You know, it's fight week as well. But the interesting thing about this card is that apart from McGann against Duran, it's all heavyweights. So we don't have anyone making weight here, which can impact, can't it, on open workouts, because, you know, they're bad-tempered. They don't really want to be here a lot of the time. But for heavyweights, it's different. What we really want to see is Ngannou on the pads, isn't it? That's what we really want to see, because we know that he brings this much vaunted power. We've heard the stats, we've heard about the records. I want to hear him on the pads, because a really big puncher makes a different noise on the pads. It's not a thud, it's a ping kind of sound. It's that much sharper explosion of there. If I hear that from him, then at that point, you know, I will begin to think, no, this guy punching power-wise, this guy's legit.
Well, that would mean it's translated. And yeah, as you say, it's about the sound, right? I remember a Gennady Golovkin public workout where they turned the music all the way down and you could hear those shots like gunshots. It was incredible. All around London, you could hear that. A big puncher, you'll hear him.
Yeah, you do. I remember that. It was in Covent Garden, wasn't it? And it was just echoing all around the cobbles and people wondering what was happening. Yeah. But it's a real thing. You know, it's the same in other sports. Remember when I covered football, if you went to watch a team train and it was nice and quiet, players who could really strike the ball, it was that ping again. You know, it wasn't that thud. And it's kind of a rare sound, but you know it when you hear it. So I would love to hear that from Ngannou later on. I really would. And, you know, we've got a lot of big guys up there, and hopefully a few of them will want to put on a show and really crack the pads and give us something to see.
Well, it's what you say. There's not, like, weight to be made or anything like that. They're not going to be moody. I feel like, with all of this, they are actually going to want to be here. Sometimes you get public workouts in shopping centres and, you know, fighters are just sort of going through the motions and getting out. With this one, they're going to want to be here. And let me ask you this. Tyson Fury, perhaps the greatest showman of them all right now, not just in boxing, in sports. This is a real stage to put on a bit of a show tonight. What do you reckon?
Yeah, very possibly, because that's the environment they're in here, you know, and it does suit people of that inclination, and he definitely is one of them. And I think another thing that plays into this for the fighters is that, you know, we're in the hotel with most of the undercard fighters, and it's a lovely hotel, but it's burning hot during the day. So there's no real percentage of going outside, particularly not if you're fighting at the weekend. You need to keep yourself to yourself. You need to stay indoors. And sometimes fighters can get a bit of cabin fever doing that. Yeah. So being allowed out, you know, into the open air tonight, into the arena they're going to box in on Saturday, you know, they may well fancy just going for it a little bit more than they normally do.
How have you found your time in Riyadh so far? I mean, it feels like to me, upon landing here, it's been glorious. We're starting Riyadh season with this brilliant event. How have you found your time so far?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it every time I've come here. I've been here a couple of times before for the first Joshua fight against Ruiz, and then in February for Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. Usyk AJ was in Jeddah, of course, last August. But yeah, I've enjoyed it every time that I've come. The setup is absolutely extraordinary. The organisation is tremendous. It can take a bit longer to get places than you bargained for at times, but trust me, I would not want to be the one doing the driving. You know, it's got everything here that you could possibly need. The investment in this, the ambition behind it, the scale of it, the kind of infrastructure of it, the whole thing. You know, you can see that this is something that they really want to make a statement with. Yeah,
absolutely. And look, they're clearly invested in boxing. They're clearly interested in our sport. Great news for us. There's already talk about, of course, Tyson Fury against Oleksandr Usyk. Francis Ngannou isn't going to want to hear that talk, but that is happening, and it's happening because of these guys. So it feels like big time boxing. You may be seeing a lot more of it here in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, and you know, we've been talking about that for a while now, but it's all about momentum, isn't it? You need to build that momentum, and the fights have been few and far between up until this point, but with this happening at the end of October, if December the 23rd comes off in the way we expect it to, which does need a Tyson Fury win, we know that, that's what, 8-9 weeks later. to do two events like that in such close proximity, that just gets the ball really rolling. It would finish the year in a brilliant way for our sport, because people have been pointing at the heavyweight division. They've been saying, listen, we had Hanley Lomachenko, we had Crawford Spence, we've had Inoue, we've had all these fights.
Yeah.
Well, what are you lads doing? You know, what are you up to? You know, you're slowing us down, because everybody looks at you and they want to see the biggest fight, which is the fight for undisputed at heavyweight. So if we can get that by the end of the year, then, you know, that would be a great thing.
Well, it seems like all intentions are about that. One of the questions around this fight was what sort of shape Tyson Fury is going to be in. I'm looking forward to seeing what shape he is in. But before that, we're actually going to start the workout now. So many great fighters are going to be in this ring. But we're going to start off with a great MC, the one and only Thomas Stryber.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the media workout for Battle of the Baddest, a great night of championship boxing to be held this Saturday in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We would first like to extend a big thank you to His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Al Sheikh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this great event is all being brought to you by Sella, Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry, and Bob Arams, Top Rank Incorporated, and Gimmick. This great event will be televised live in the UK on TNT Sports Box Office, in the United States on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, and around the world in other territories on DAZN. We get things started. We first welcome to the ring, competing this Saturday night in a scheduled 8-round international super welterweight contest. He is fighting out of Miami, Florida, USA, and brings a professional record consisting of 12 wins, 3 defeats. 9 of his 12 wins come by way of knockout. Here is Roberto Duran Jr.
Well, here comes Robert Duran Jr. soaking in every single moment there, Andy. A little bit of shadow boxing on top. Listen, he's got all that weight, all that pressure of the surname that he's got of the great legendary father of his, Roberto Duran. He looks like a guy who's used to pressure.
He was nice and relaxed, wasn't he, when we spoke to him yesterday? And this is kind of an opportunity, he told us, that had been brewing for a while, but you're just always nervous about it coming off until it actually happens. But it's here now, and he just needs to make the absolute most of it, take the absolute maximum from it. This is the only fight, as we said, that isn't a heavyweight fight between him and Jack McGann. They're in the same hotel. They're sort of kind of around each other earlier on. You can always bump into your opponents sometimes, which maybe isn't ideal, but they don't really know each other, so there's no history there particularly. And he's just having a little move around, bit of a shadow box. It won't take a lot to get a sweat on in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not too hot here tonight, but it's it's not like the UK either. You can definitely tell. Robert Duran, a few nice little moves there from Robert Duran Jr. And yeah, it's a big fight with Jack McGann. It's a big stage, a big chance to make a bit of a statement. I mean, he's a guy who perhaps hasn't had any kind of breakout win yet. With that surname, you'd expect maybe him to be further along in his career. And hey, maybe that starts on Saturday night.
Yeah, possibly. He didn't turn pro until he was 29, so that's pretty late. He hasn't had the influence on his career that the other son has had. The relationship has been strained at times, non-existent at others, from what I understand. We didn't really want to go into it yesterday on air. It's not really appropriate, but at the same time, when you do a little bit of background, that's the sense that you get. But it is, it's a monumental surname, so big that I think it genuinely probably doesn't help you all that much. But I'm just interested to see what we'll get from him on the night, because for these two, this really is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Because for Jack McGann too, he's an experienced guy in MMA, but I don't think he really saw this coming. I don't think a few of the fighters on the card saw this coming, to be honest with you. No. I do feel sorry for these two in the hotel, though, because we have this lovely buffet which is open about 12 hours a day, don't we? And they're the only ones who can't really get stuck into it. I was stood next to Jack McGann yesterday, actually, last night when we got back at the buffet, and I was just piling my plate high, and he's kind of picking through it. I did kind of I toyed with the idea of mentioning it to him, but I thought, let's not go there.
I would leave that one. No, you're absolutely right. I've seen the heavyweights at that same buffet, and they are not holding back. I've seen Arslanbek Makhmudov. I've seen several plates. These guys can eat, but these guys that you're looking at, unfortunately, cannot. Roberto Duran in the ring at the moment takes on Jack McGann on Saturday night as part of this huge event here in Riyadh to kick off Riyadh season, the Battle of the Baddest. And let's just talk a little bit about Jack McGann. That's the man that Roberto Duran will be facing on Saturday night. Now, Jack McGann, it feels like it's kind of the experiment before the main event because he has that background. He's an MMA striker. He was known for striking in the MMA. Does that translate to boxing? He thinks it does.
Yeah, and it was interesting to talk to him about that yesterday because we were asking everybody, weren't we, what do they think of the top of the bill? And he just very matter-of-factly said, listen, there are plenty of people in MMA who can strike. I'm one of them, and we'll see. Quite often, fighters who come from MMA or kickboxing, they can punch. They stand up quite straight a lot of the time, which can be a little bit of a drawback, but they can punch. He's used to occasions. No one's really used to anything like this, but he's used to occasions. And I was interested to see Martin Murray arrive at the hotel today as well, who's clearly part of the team there. And he's somebody who boxed at the very highest level, boxed in some unusual places himself.
Roberto Duran Jr.
Well, here is Roberto Duran Jr. 2 days in a row.
Again.
Great to see you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We were talking about how you seem like a man, and I'm seeing it now. No nerves at all, right?
No, not at all.
You're just used to this.
I've been through this one too many times. But this is the biggest stage I've been on, and I love it.
Are you going to stick around and have a look at Jack McGann? Look at him behind you there. What do you think when you see him?
I don't think anything.
No?
I know what I am, and I know what I can do.
Is this the chance for you to break out and start making that name your own?
Yes, sir. I mean, I've already been making my own name, but this right here can catapult me even further. So it'd be great. I'd hold myself back.
So a question I have for you, which is something we were just discussing, and we were chuckling about it, but it struck me that it is kind of a real thing. In this hotel we're all staying in, you're kind of the only fighter, you and Jack McGann are the only fighters who actually have to make weight.
Oh, yes.
Everybody could go into that buffet room and just eat as much as they like. It must be torture.
It is torture. I mean, I came in weight, so I'm not really doing too much to kill myself. So I'm in good spirits. I'm in good weight. But I told his managers if we can change the contract to heavyweights so we can be able to eat. Let's change it to heavyweight so we can eat.
Absolutely brilliant talking to you, Robert Duran, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys.
Good to see you, my friend. What a lovely chap Robert Duran Jr. is, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice and relaxed, isn't he? He's genuinely just buzzing, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can see it. There's no fear there. There's no apprehension. We talked about this yesterday. During fight week sometimes, when you've got fighters who aren't used to stuff like this, you could see them shrink from it.
Yeah.
And it's easy to identify the difference between kind of good nerves and prohibitive nerves. And he doesn't have any nerves. It's obvious.
What about the Pilgrim here? Jack McGann, fight number 10 for the man they call the Pilgrim. I think around here somewhere you'll see his trainer Martin Murray as well. What a fighter he was.
Yeah, tremendous. Very unlucky not to win a world title. I think he had 5 cracks at it in the end, but when you run into the likes of Sergio Martinez in Argentina, unlucky that night, Gennady Golovkin, he went in deep, and I've got all the respect in the world for that.
Yeah, it's nice when you see a fighter transition from, they don't leave the sport completely, so it's quite good. We've got Martin Murray as part of all of this. Some fighters leave the sport, they got nothing to do, so he's now a trainer.
Yeah, it's great to see them just invest that knowledge back into the sport because they've got so much to give. Martin Murray's autobiography, by the way, is an enormously entertaining read. It really is. He has quite lived a life.
Well, I'm sure he's imparting some of that wisdom to Jack McGann, who we're looking at in the ring, his young charge. In action, chance, opportunity of a lifetime on Saturday night. And he believes he is the man, well, one of the men, I guess, to kind of dispel this myth that MMA strikers can't punch in boxing. He thinks he can. In the MMA world, Andy, he knocked out 10 people in a row in the first round via punches.
Yeah, and those statistics, those records, they speak for themselves. It's when you're heavily involved in one sport, you could get your blinkers on sometimes and find it difficult to really look outside the parameters of your own sport and be sceptical of the merits of others. I've been guilty of that in the past when it comes to boxing and MMA. I definitely have been. But you look at the different kind of training methods that all sports now borrow from each other. There's a lot more swapping around going on, isn't there, basically? And I don't think that any professional boxer dismisses the ability of an MMA fighter to punch, because you can't dismiss anyone's ability to punch, because the simple fact of the matter is, if somebody's capable of throwing a reasonable shot and they've got a certain level of athleticism, if they hit you with one you don't see, they will turn your lights out. That's just a fact. You ask anyone that, trainer, fighter, anyone, they will all tell you the same thing, that anyone can go if you get hit right and you're not braced for it.
Well, listen, that is something that Tyson Fury has been basically saying all week. He's been saying, I could go down the pub, have a fight with someone, they could land it, so why can't a killer like Francis Ngannou? But let's bring in the Pilgrim himself, Mr. Jack McGann. Great to see you again, Jack. How are you?
Yes, I'm very good.
Good. Tell me why you chose boxing. Because you were in MMA, you were doing very well. We were talking about it. 10 first-round knockouts in a row. You can clearly punch a bit over there. Why are you over here?
Opportunity, risk, something new, a fresher breath there. The plan originally was to switch over and jump between the two, but COVID sort of got in the way of that. So, plus at the time, the Mayweather-McGregor crossover was big. It just happened. So the time to jump made sense back then.
Makes a lot of sense, Andy.
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. How did the relationship with Martin start, Martin Murray?
So Martin Murray, I used to, in preparation for my MMA fights, I'd always spar professional boxers, just in boxing. That's how I knew I could jump over. And Martin was one of them people and it was always a scary day when I knew I was sparring Martin. But I always done okay, so I had a great relationship with him. He's one of the nicest people you'll meet, and funnily enough, when I was going to get signed with Frank right at the start of my career, Rob would come watch me spar, and Martin stepped in, and that was the spar that he watched. So we sort of started my career off, and now it's the way the world works. He's full hands on deck with it now as well.
Well, listen, your career is now in a place where you are taking on Roberto Duran's son on Saturday night on a grand stage. Yeah. How's this fight going to go, Jack?
I think that no matter what way it goes, I'll be too much for Duran, and this is the best I've seen, the best I can be. But I'm also fully aware of the fact the pressure on everybody on this card because of the size of it. You're going to get the best form of every single fight on the night Saturday, myself included. So all the fights are going to be top fights, but I don't see a way that I don't come out on top.
Brilliant. Wonderful speaking to you, Jack McGann. We can't wait for this fight. Can't wait, Andy. Come on, big one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers, tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. That is the Pilgrim, Jack McGann. And we are looking at a man who has journeyed through the heavyweight division. This is a guy, Carlos Takam, here in yet another tough fight. He only does tough fights, doesn't he, Andy?
Yeah, because he wants to stay relevant. He wants to stay at the top of the sport. I remember seeing him get knocked out by Derek Chisora at the O2 back in 2018. That was probably maybe 2019, and that was a real setback for him because it wasn't supposed to happen, quite simply. That gave Chisora a new lease of life, but it really set Carlos back, and he had to go away and rebuild. And he did that. He moved over to Las Vegas, to Nevada, Henderson, in fact. And then he began to take on some greater challenges. He lost against Joe Joyce. He lost in Canada against Arslanbek Makhmudov. And people thought at that stage, okay, this is where he is now. He's going to take away corner jobs as a good name for rising fighters to get on their record, but he'll come at a price. That's what people thought he was up to. But he wasn't, because he felt that he could win those fights. And then he took on Tony Yoka in Paris and he won the fight comprehensively. And that's got him back up into the reckoning.
That's the one, isn't it? That Tony Yoka fight, really, that was a case of Tony Yoka had just taken the first loss of his career against Martin Bakole. He needed to rebuild. He needed to come back. He had a bit of a fan base as an Olympic gold medalist. He decided, I'll take on Carlos Takam. What a mistake it was. Carlos Takam had an awful lot of success that night, and I think he won wider than actually what the scorecards told us.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Martin Bakole, when he boxed Yoka, a majority decision, but the judge who gave that a draw should have been arrested. I mean, it was absolutely absurd. But they both beat him comprehensively, and that's why this is an interesting match, because, you know, what have you done for me lately? They've both kind of done the same thing. Billy Nelson, Martin Bakole's trainer, almost straying in front of the camera. They're keen to get a look at Carlos Takam. I don't really feel like they'll have had to have watched endless hours of tape on this, because, like you say, he's been around a long time. We know what he does.
Yeah, you know what it is. But Billy Nelson has indeed pulled up a seat ringside here in Riyadh, studiously looking on at the man that his man will be fighting on Saturday night. And I'll tell you, Billy Nelson is a man who bangs the drum louder than anyone. Probably louder than his own family for Martin Bakole. Absolutely incredible job he does for him. On Twitter, he replies to every comment. He's there, no, Martin will beat him, Martin will beat him. And now he's having a look at Carlos Takam.
Yeah, he does, and you know, that's what you want. You want somebody who's got your back, who believes in you, who will push your claims all of the time, because he knows that, particularly for Bakole, he has to have that. We discussed it yesterday, and he's in one of these positions. He's got some good rankings, so the fighters below him will fancy him because they could take those rankings, but the fighters above him, there's no real reason why you would fight him, because he's decent. He could be an absolute handful for anybody. Billy would say more than that, but he'll be an absolute handful for anyone. And commercially, he doesn't bring that much to the table currently, so he's high risk, low reward. It's a difficult position to be in. What he needs to do really is keep pushing for that biggest fight that he can get, obviously, but just keep winning, keep those rankings as high as he can get them. And then let's just say Fury Usyk happens on the 23rd. Whichever way that goes, as long as it's not a draw, the belts could then possibly splinter. And if you're right up towards the top with one of the sanctioning bodies, you're in a good position.
Well, look, the man that we're looking at currently is looking to navigate his own way to a world title. He's 42 years old. I'll tell you, he doesn't look it. Whatever it is that he's drinking, I want that. Whatever cream he's using, I want that cream. 42 years old. Are you sure, Andy Clark?
No, he's a tremendous example, isn't he? A tremendous example. I thought that when I watched him against Joyce, when we both watched him against Joyce. I watched the fight against Makhmudov. I commentated on the fight against Yoka, and you can see that there's still that vitality, that kind of tensile strength there. And the way that he goes about it, he's always kind of looked to do it the hard way. He'll look to get close, slamming body shots. He will take a few, but he's sensational, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and fans watching in the UK, of course, will be very familiar with Carlos Takam. They've seen Takam against Anthony Joshua when he challenged for the unified world heavyweight title in a big stadium. They've seen him against Joe Joyce as well. He's lost both of those fights. But I tell you, at the end of both fights, he still wants to carry on fighting, particularly the Anthony Joshua stoppage, where I'm not sure an awful lot landed, and he's going to the ref, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, he was fuming. I was at that fight, and you know, he wanted to make it to the final tape because he came in at a week's notice as well. Kubrat Pulev was the original opponent. He had to pull out with a shoulder injury. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom wisely had Takam safely stowed away in training just in case something like that happens, because similar to this, a pull out in the main event late on is something you just can't have. You've got to have someone to be able to step in. He stepped in, as I say, he was training, but mentally you've still got to make that switch. And he gave a good account of himself. That big solid old head of his connected with AJ's nose early on and gave him some problems. And that's another thing about fighting him. You know, he's not short, but he's not tall either, and he boxes quite short, so he'll maraud his way in, and if you're not careful, you'll find himself on the end of that shaven head, and it's not where you want to be.
He's a lot of fun in the build-up as well. A great character. I remember when he boxed Joe Joyce and he came over, and I actually hosted the press conference with him and Joe Joyce. I asked him a question, and I said, look, no one's hurt Joe Joyce. No one stopped him. Have you got the power? And the way he looked at me, it was like I was about to find out about his power. He was like, are you crazy? Why are you asking me about my power? And he's a very, very strong man. It will be interesting to see how he does get on against Martin Bakole, because as you said, Bakole is the guy that no one really wants to fight. Takam is the guy that fights everyone. Very interesting scrap.
It is. Bakole, he's kind of unusual for heavyweight because it's not so much the movement as in he gets in and out or he's up on his toes or anything like that, but he's got enough movement and he stays on top of you and he throws lots of punches and varies the angle. He's got lots of variety with his punches, both in the shots that he delivers. You know, he'll throw jabs, crosses, hooks, uppercuts in bundles, but he varies up the weight of it, so he'll be tapping 1 second and then really sink one in. He's a good fighter. You know, Billy bangs the drum for him, but with good reason, because you know he really is, as I said before, he's a handful for anyone.
Well, here is the man himself, Carlos Takam.
What's up again, man?
What's up?
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you, sir?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Thank you.
We were just talking about this fight, right? This Martin Bakole fight. Bakole is the guy that no one wants to fight.
Really?
Takam, well, Takam's the guy that fights everyone, right?
Bakole is the one no one wants to fight?
Apparently.
Who said that? No.
Well, he's the kind of fighter where if you're above him in the rankings, what he's found is that no one really wants to fight him because he's kind of high risk, low reward.
You know what is the story? I asked that fight. That fight is happening because of me, you know, because like I was speaking with the Francis about to fight in the undercard. He told me like, "When you see you to fight, Carlos," and then we both say Martin Bakole.
Well, look, we're going to bring Martin Bakole onto the screen here very shortly. There is the man that you are fighting on Saturday. What do you think? How does he look to you?
He look good. Yes, he look good. He's a powerful guy, good boxing, strong. Yeah, I like it.
How are you going to beat him?
How am I going to beat him? I have more experience. I have more experience than him. I think I'm going to use my experience to beat him.
Big fight.
I mean, what do you feel that he does well? What do you feel that Martin does well as a fighter?
I think yes, the guy. I watch him fight. I watch 2 of the fight. He have a good left hook. You know, that's why he do well. Because when I see the fight he do with Yoka and the fight he make with how they call the American fight. Shit, I forget the name.
Which one?
The guy he fight the American fight, the American heavyweight. We're
all stumped. We're absolutely stumped. Carlos Takam is really testing the knowledge of Andy Clark and myself here. I can't hear what he's saying either, Andy, but we're all looking at Martin Bakole. Carlos, we're actually going to keep you here for just a moment, and you can watch Martin Bakole, and you can tell us what you're thinking. Give us the Carlos Takam commentary. What's going on here?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, he's coming with his gloves on for a start, which, you know, you're the first fighter to have got your gloves on to do some punching.
Uh-huh.
You two, the first two.
Did you see that? Jumped over the top rope. Can you do that, Carlos?
It's easy. It's easy. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that easy.
Let's keep you having a look at this, Carlos. That's, of course, Martin Bakole with Billy Nelson. People are calling him an avoided heavyweight. Carlos Takam said, is he? He's not an avoided heavyweight. This is a guy that you're fighting.
I know he's a good boxer and a good guy, so I know him, but, you know, it's a fight. I don't wanna go in the ring to play with him. We go to fight, you know. Somebody gonna fall, yeah?
Well, listen, he said something yesterday when we were talking to him. He said that he believes that Carlos Takam, after this fight, will retire. What do you think about that?
Ah, really?
That's what he said.
Okay, we're going to see that after the fight. We're going to see that.
We were saying earlier on, Carlos, that, you know, you're in fantastic physical condition.
Yeah.
Is there any particular secret to that? Is it just living the boxing life for an extended period of time? Because you've really looked after yourself.
Yeah, you know, he's how can I say, you know, he's a strong guy. I know he's gonna use your power to try to push me, you know, to push me in the ring. But I already know how it's working because I watched many of the video of him, so I already know what he's gonna do. I'm prepared for that. Yeah.
Nice little dance there, Carlos. What do you reckon?
Huh?
Nice little dance moves there from the big man.
you know, he don't want to show nothing here. You know, that's just he just play. You know, he don't want to show nothing here because he know I watch him. He see me. He know I watch him, so he don't want to show no shit.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Carlos, we're going to let you go. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Mike back there. There he is, the one and only Carlos Takam, as we watch Martin Bakole now in the ring. And I'll tell you what, Andy, he doesn't agree that Martin Bakole is an avoided fight. Doesn't agree at all.
No, and you'd expect him to say that. You'd expect him to say that. I mean, I think there's some respect there between these two, but if you're Carlos Takam, you're the older guy, you're the more experienced guy, you're probably picking up a vibe off Bakole that he feels like you're a good name for him to get on his record. You probably feel like that's their attitude going into it. Whether it is or it isn't, it's a useful thing to be able to use to kind of stoke the fire, if you like.
Goodness me, it's not often that you see a heavyweight. Okay, I've seen a few get over the top rope. I've never seen anyone do something like that. Kicked up his legs like that. Martin Bakole.
Can he hold a microphone with gloves on, though? That's the big question.
That's true. Can you hold the microphone? Can you do it? Well, you can. What a talented heavyweight we've got here. Big man, Martin Bakole. We saw you do a little dance in there. We saw you jump up, kick the legs up. You're really happy tonight. You're feeling yourself.
Ready to go. I think like this is a day fight. I was in the mood like I'm fighting today. Especially I saw my opponent here. So ready to go. I can't wait.
He was watching as well. Were you trying to put on a little bit of a show for him? Show him what you can do?
He knows. He knows. And he watched Tony Yoka's fight. He knows Martin Bakole. He knows himself. He knows he got big trouble on Saturday night.
Big trouble. Look, you're a heavyweight that's avoided. People don't want to fight you, but he's a heavyweight that fights everyone. It's a very good fight, isn't it, Martin?
Yeah, I love that. That's why I pick him. It's a good test for me. And I put all my career, all my ranking online. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But this is Martin Bakole time.
Oh.
This is my time. So I won't play and I won't give up and I won't let him do what he thinks he can do. I'll try to stop what he thinks he can because he's 42. I have much respect. He done well in the boxing, but his age and his time is gone. This is Martin Bakole time now.
Martin Bakole time, Andy.
Yeah.
So is that how this fight happened then? Did you picked him?
Oh, Takam?
Yeah.
No, I watched him. He done nothing. He was just doing shadow boxing. But I know already he's a tough guy. He always come forward. But he will make big mistake if he keep coming forward because I'll stop if he does that.
Right, Martin Bakole, absolutely wonderful speaking to you. We enjoyed the jumping over the ropes. We enjoyed the dance moves. Do you want to give us any more dance moves? You got anything for us? Look at that. This guy.
Yes, I give this for Saturday. We're going to knock someone out.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Mr. Bakole. And well done holding that with just your gloves. What a man. What a man Martin Bakole is, and what a man we're looking at here in Moses Itauma. Andy, that was quite fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fun. It's great to see people enjoying themselves. Yeah. It's fight week. All the hard work has been done. That's what fighters will always tell you, that they've paid the price by now, and they just want to get in there and show what they can do. And it's such a great card for him to be on as well, the fighter that we're looking at now, because we know all about the reputation. It was well earned in the amateurs, but he turned pro without any senior experience, and that always raises question marks, particularly when it comes to heavyweight, where they can punch harder than any other division, obviously. But all the signs so far in the early stages have been really good. He's been matched well. He had a couple of early blowouts, but since then they managed to get him some rounds in. Queensbury, Frank Warren, they know all about bringing through heavyweights. That's a particular speciality. But just to be around all of these people all week, I think it'll be really good for him.
Yeah, listen, it's a great place to be for him as a young heavyweight. He's already appeared on a couple of Joe Joyce undercards. I know they're not heavyweights, but he was on the Anthony Yard, Artur Beterbiev undercard. He's found himself on a Tyson Fury undercard as well. That is what dreams are made of, really. If you're a young pro and you've got that confidence where you are ready to perform on the big stage, going on undercards like this, getting to showcase your skills, what an opportunity for Moses Itauma.
Yeah, it is, and that's what you want to do with fighters like this early on. You want to mix things up a bit. You put them on a really big card so they can get a flavour of that, so they're around all of that. You put them on a more mid-sized card where you might shuffle them up the order a little bit, get them into chief support possibly, and before too long, he'll top a bill. He'll top a Friday night bill maybe at your call, where you showcase your fighters, the up-and-coming talent. I don't think there'll be long before that happens.
No.
And that's what you want to do with them, because they soak up that experience. There's a point to it. There's a point to every match you make. There's a point to every event you want them to be a part of. And they always would have wanted him to have been a part of this.
Well, he's passed every test so far with flying colours. He's shown layers to his skills. He's not just someone who's going to knock someone out in 50 seconds. He can break someone down a little bit more, show off some of his skills. He's showing us a little bit of everything, and incredible to think that he is just 18 years old, and he speaks with so much confidence, as you'd expect, but he was yesterday talking about how he feels he is ready to take on the likes of Fabio Wardley and David Adeleye. He thinks he's at that level now. Obviously, Frank will look after him and they'll guide him as he should be. But I love the ambition that he's even talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely, because it'll take a few more fights under his belt, really, I think, before the board would probably entertain him in that kind of a contest, before they feel happy either mandating him or accepting him. No one's going to give him a voluntary, I wouldn't have thought, but before they'd be happy to mandate him. But not necessarily all that long, because he is looking to move quick. I will be really interested to see what happens the first time he gets cracked really hard. It's always an interesting moment, but particularly given his lack of senior amateur experience. But having said that, he's been boxing very, very good professionals in sparring since the age of 15.
Literally, Joe Joyce, Andy.
Yeah.
At 15 years old, he was sparring
he
Joe
turned up
Joyce.
to the gym in his school uniform. It's madness, isn't it, when you think about it?
Well, here comes Moses Itauma. Let's have a chat, Moses. How you feeling, big man?
What's going on?
What is going on?
It's hot, man. It's hot.
It's hot, but you're looking good. You're looking like you're feeling
Appreciate
yourself.
it, man. Appreciate it.
Enjoying it out there?
Yeah, on the stage.
Yeah, all of it.
It's hard to enjoy knowing you're gonna fight on thingy, but I'm trying to take the experience in.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's one of those things where, because if you do take a moment to look around, it is like, wow, because your name popped up and everything. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I didn't even see that, to be fair.
A lot of fighters don't even get this for their fights. You get it for your workout.
I deserve it, though, 100%. I believe I do deserve it, and I'm not wowed by this because all the work that I've put in, my amateur career speaks for itself, and what I'm trying to achieve, that speaks for itself as well. Like how much confidence I got in myself. So, yeah, man, I'm blessed.
Listen, that confidence. Me and Andy was just talking about that. The fact that you're even like talking a little bit about like Fabio Wardley, David Adeleye, thinking, yeah, I can beat those. It's sort of, it's calm to you, isn't it?
But you know what it is? There's one thing, like not believing it, but thinking you got that dog mentality.
Yeah. And
then there's another thing where you actually believe it, and I do generally believe it. Listen, I was watching the Usyk the bar fight, I was sitting there thinking I can beat both of these. And the same thing with the Joe Joyce Zhang. I'm sitting in the crowd thinking, not far, man. I'm not far.
I actually remember sitting with you for Joe Joyce against Joseph Parker, and I'm not sure at that point you'd actually turned pro. You were about to, right?
No, it was literally just before I flew out to the World Championships.
So,
yeah,
exactly.
I was still an amateur.
And you was like, you was moving. You were saying he should be doing this, he should be doing that. You've always had that eye, right?
Yeah, no. Do you know what it is? It's the boxer's mentality. You always think, oh, how would I do against him? How would I do against him? But listen, I know sparring is different to fighting, but I've held my. I'm not even saying I've done better.
Yeah.
With these guys, I'm supposed to be here.
The opponent that you've got on Saturday, look, not a lot of people will have heard of him, but if you do your research in the amateurs, he's boxed everyone. You know, he's boxed Tyson Fury a couple of times.
I didn't know that, but listen, it's another bod to me. I'll just get in the ring, I'll fight, and then whether I get credit or not, I'm not too bothered. Like, I'm just here to do a job. I'm a man on a mission.
Oh, I love it. Moses Itauma, brilliant speaking with you.
Very
We're going to go backstage to Andy, who is with Fabio Wardley.
So Fabio, come for a little bit of a wander around backstage before you make your entrance?
Yeah, just having a little look around, soaking the atmosphere, soaking everything that's going on. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's something special. It really is.
I mean, you can say that again. We saw the setting yesterday, and this is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's not like something I've seen before, I tell you that. It's a privilege to be a part of, really. It's when you get in, you settle in, you have a look around, and you go, yeah, this is something big.
Kind of unusual and useful too to get to do a dress rehearsal, because this is where you'll box on Saturday night, and it'll be around about this time of night too.
Yeah, you get to kind of feel out the ring, feel out the weather and stuff, kind of move around, see how you'd feel on the night. And yeah, it's a bit new. It's not something you've been able to do before in the past and things. So yeah, you've got to take every opportunity you can.
You're going to take it easy, or you're going to let a few go in there?
I don't know. I always say, yeah, I'll take it easy. And then once I get the gloves on, the pads start flowing, I start losing. My hands start going. They kind of have a mind of their own sometimes. So maybe I might throw a few big ones in there somewhere.
Okay, excellent. We'll leave you to it. We'll catch you later on. Okay, let's just have a little bit of a I'll move around. Let's see who we can find. If there are any willing victims I can pounce on to give us their thoughts on the stream. Ciryl Itauma just doing some interviews away to our right-hand side. And I'll just go for a little stroll around the back here. It could be that we're out of luck here, you never know. Francis Warren, let's catch a word with Francis on the stream. We've just seen Ciryl obviously in the ring going through his paces, and Moses, I beg your pardon, Moses indeed. And we were just saying on the stream, me and Dev, that I'd imagine you had his name down for this as soon as this event was made, because this is, to have him around all of these heavyweights is I mean, it's gold, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, we took him out to Poland for Duran and Usyk, and he definitely got a taste of it there. But he wasn't fighting, and I think he was always going to be earmarked to be on this show, and hopefully any future ones.
In terms of his progression, he had those 2 early finishes. Since then, you managed to get some rounds in for him, which isn't the easiest thing to manage to achieve, but that's just as important at this stage, isn't it?
I think I'm quite proud of the matchmaking so far. I think Steve and I have done a really terrific job. If I do say so myself, like I said, like you just said, he got the first 2 fights out of the way. He coped with the pressure very well, and I just thought, we don't need 6 first-round stoppages, and to get 12 rounds in the bank, plus the stoppages at this stage, I think it's very important. Terrific finish last time out to set himself up nicely for this, and I'm hoping for another spectacular knockout, to be honest, on Saturday. On such a big occasion.
Aren't we all? Thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate.
We'll speak to you again later in the week, I'm sure. Okay, let's get our next fighter in the ring. Back over to Thomas Treiber.
Our next fighter to the ring, competing this Saturday night in a 10-round contest, and it will be for the NABF and vacant WBA Intercontinental Heavyweight Championships. We first welcome to the ring, he is a defending champion, a native of Russia, now fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. He is undefeated with 17 wins. 16 of his 17 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending NABF heavyweight champion, Arslanbek, the Lion Makhmudov.
Here comes the man that they call the Lion. And I have to say, even now, I know I mentioned it yesterday, Andy, this is one of the most terrifying men I've ever seen in my whole life. They say he's like 6'5" on BoxRec. To me, he looks about 7'5". He's an absolute monster.
He is a fearsome looking chap, I have to say that. But when we spoke to him yesterday, he was nice and calm, nice and measured, quite softly spoken actually. The only time we really saw his hackles rise was when he talked about Tyson Fury, didn't he?
Yes.
He said that Fury said at some point that he doesn't know who he is. Why would I want to fight him? And he found that disrespectful. He didn't like it. He's got a strong team around him, hasn't he? You've got Mark Ramsey, the trainer there, working with Eye of the Tiger. Russ Anver's here with him and Simon Keane as well. And often you look at the people around a fighter, when that caliber of operator believes in a fighter, then it says a lot.
Absolutely, and look, that's another big, giant heavyweight that has, of course, gone over the top rope, just like Martin Bakole did. But I've got to give Bakole this. I think Bakole did it a little bit better. There was a little bit of athleticism with the way Bakole did it. This guy didn't quite look the same. Still got, I couldn't do it.
No, but I love stuff like that. That's the fascination of these big men.
Yes.
And when you're close to the ring like we are now, and when you're close to the ring on fight night, and you see the sheer size of them, the sheer scale of 2 heavyweights facing off, it's like nothing else you will ever see in any sport, because they seem impossibly big, don't they? They operate in the same ring as everybody else, but they just seem absurdly big. And then when they start throwing their hands, if one of them gets hurt and one of them goes down, we saw it with Ciryl Gane and Joe Joyce, just the best possible example. 220 stoners. You watch one of them get hit clean and go down, and it is like watching like an old Vegas casino getting detonated. It kind of everything hangs in the air for a second, but you know what's coming. And it just reminds you, if you ever need reminding, of just what a business this is, because the weight that they can punch with and the damage they can do is breathtaking.
No, absolutely, and you can see, of course, trainer Mark Ramsey close by as well. To me, he gives me a few nightmares, because it takes me back to Artur Beterbiev coming over to the UK against Anthony Yard, and the week that I had with Beterbiev of one-word answers and cold press conferences. I think with Makhmudov, there's a little bit of that coldness as well.
A little bit, but like I say yesterday, he kind of took me by surprise a little bit.
Well, I think, Andy, do you know what? Do you know what, Andy? I reckon you can go and grab a quick chat with Mark Ramsey. Go on, we're going to send Andy out there. As Mark Ramsey watches on his charge, Arslanbek Makhmudov.
So I'm with trainer Mark Ramsey. So tell us about Arslanbek Makhmudov, Mark. What kind of a fighter is he?
Of course, you can see he's a big boy, very strong, physically very strong. He's a good fighter. He have a very good amateur background also. Competitive guy, big punch, and I think people underestimate his technique. He's also a very good boxer.
How high do you think he could go in this sport? What do you think he could achieve?
But he's already very high in terms of ranking. Now we have to fight better opponent and make sure that he's going to reach that level. But we believe in him. We believe he's going to be a world champion one day.
Okay, thanks very much. I won't keep you any longer. I know you need to watch your man and keep your eye on him in there.
You're looking at currently on your screen the 7'5" Arslanbek Makhmudov, unbeaten in 17 fights, 16 wins by knockout. They call him the Lion, and he takes on Junior Anthony Wright as part of this huge card on Saturday night. And look, it's good to have, it's a great stage for him, right? This is, again, much like Martin Bakole, where you've got a heavyweight there who a lot of people maybe won't want to, he won't be top of their shopping list. Makhmudov, he's not going to be the top of anyone's shopping list, but hey, with a stage like this, he makes a statement, more people know about him, maybe more people will fight him.
Yeah, exactly. He's in a similar kind of position. He's a little bit further back in his career, I would say. You know, he had a good year last year, beat Takam, had a couple of other fights in there that were worthwhile for him. But then he's now co-promoted by Top Rank and Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger are a really good outfit, but getting Top Rank, putting their shoulder to the wheel as well, that makes a massive difference. So he boxed in America last time against an undefeated opponent on that undercard of Jared Anderson against Charles Martin. So that's a good show to be on in Toledo, Ohio. And he got the win. And they will be able, as I say, just to lend their weight and push things a little bit harder, invest a little bit more, and maybe come up with the money to get people into the ring with him who otherwise might not be quite so keen.
Yeah, absolutely that. Well, you're looking at Junior Anthony Wright, who has the daunting task of taking on Arslanbek Makhmudov on Saturday night at the Kingdom Arena here in Riyadh. It's going to be an incredible night. We are in the undercard venue right now, where this man will be fighting on Saturday night. A glorious evening here in Riyadh. And Junior Anthony Wright just shaping up a little bit. I wonder if he'll do any pads. Wonder if he'll show us anything.
I enjoyed talking to him yesterday, though. Yeah. He's been around the business a long time, and fighters like that are always kind of fascinating to chat to because he knows what he's here for. He's not a fool. He understands that he's been recruited here as someone who's going to make Makhmudov look good. That's the reality of the business we're in. And he knows that it's going to be tough. He absolutely knows that, but he's not daunted by it. He knows that this is a good opportunity, that if he can put up a decent fight against Makhmudov, whether he does lose, which we would expect that he will, to be brutally honest about it, more jobs like this might come his way. And when you're a professional fighter like him, you're in this to make money and pay your bills. And if you can get more jobs like this, then it helps, doesn't it? That's the whole point of it.
It's exactly that, and it's, as you say, it's the degrees of loss. You know, we're writing him off, right? You know, as you say, Makhmudov is the big, heavy-handed power puncher who is knocking absolutely everyone out right now. But if Junior Anthony Wright, I don't know, extends him into the late rounds, maybe lands something that he shouldn't have, he then makes a bit of a name for himself. Someone else has a look at him and thinks, well, let me see if I can do better than Makhmudov did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you have to look at it if you're him. You know, you want to put yourself in that bracket of credible opponent who will get the call from a serious outfit to box on a good night and pick up a good paycheck. You know, that's what he'll be hoping he can provide. He got to a good level as a cruiserweight. That's where he did his best work. Got to the world title level, boxed Babet Shumanov for his WBA title. Went to Russia and boxed a good fighter, Rakhim Chekiev. You know, so he's been up there, he's travelled as well, so, you know, he's been around the block and he's got that kind of demeanour about him of somebody who knows what he's here for, he knows why he's been recruited, but he also knows that if he can just, as you say, land a few, give Makhmudov something to think about, then it could lead to further opportunities.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is Junior, the Hurricane Anthony Wright.
Well, just a reminder why we are here today. It is the open public workout for the Battle of the Baddest. This Saturday night, we will find out who the baddest man on the planet is. Is it Tyson Fury? Is it Francis Ngannou? Hey, it might even be Junior Anthony Wright, as you've just seen popped up into shot.
Intercontinental Heavyweight Championships. We first welcome to the ring, coming to us from South Auckland, New Zealand. His professional record, 32 wins, 3 defeats. 22 of his 32 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the former WBO World Champion, Joseph Parker.
Well, here comes Joseph Parker. We're actually joined in commentary by Junior Anthony Wright. Do you know what? You spoke so well yesterday, we had to hear from you again. How you feeling out there?
I feel great, man. This is a huge opportunity. Just being in Saudi Arabia alone is huge. I never would have imagined in my life that I'll be here in this situation. On top of that, fighting on a Tyson Fury versus Ngannou fight card amongst a lot of other top heavyweights in the world.
Well, including Joseph Parker here. I want you to have a look at him. Listen, you are in a heavyweight fight. This is pretty much an all heavyweight card. Joseph Parker's a former world heavyweight champion. He must be someone whose career you've looked at and thought, hey, that's a pretty good heavyweight, huh?
He is. He's really solid. I mean, I watched him when he fought Anthony Joshua. I mean, he did a great job fighting Anthony Joshua. That was a great technical fight. That fight was very close. I mean, I was actually surprised at how good he was moving around in that particular match.
Did you have a little look at your own opponent, Makhmudov, before when he went through his paces?
A little bit. I've seen him fight a few times. You know, real powerful guy, real tough, determined, straightforward guy. So to answer your question, I looked at him a little bit. Sometimes I do things instinctive, so I don't really get into too much because what you see is not what you're always going to get. That can change over time.
What was fun about talking to you yesterday is that you're an experienced guy. You know, you reached a really good level at cruiserweight. You're up at heavyweight now, but you've been around the block a few times. You know how this business works, and you look at this card and you look at these matchups, and you know what the plan is for each of them, don't you? You know how they're trying to move people's careers.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually offered a fights with a couple of these guys on this card, but they didn't know exactly when the date was going to be. And I was game, I was up for it, so I always stay in the gym. But to answer your question, out of all of them, I think obviously Parker is probably the sharpest. I'm actually a big fan of Parker.
All right, Junior, brilliant speaking to you. We'll speak to you again later on in the week, and best of luck to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Well, that was Junior Anthony Wright, a well-spoken guy, and he spoke so well about the man that we are watching currently, Joseph Parker, former WBO World Heavyweight Champion. He has been to the top of the mountain. He held that title. He beat Andy Ruiz, of course, who later went on to dethrone Anthony Joshua. He is one of the best heavyweights in the world right now, and great to have him on this card.
It is. It's always good to see him. It's always good to see Andy as well, Andy Lee. You know, still relatively early in his training journey, but it came as no surprise to anybody, you know, when he became a trainer, because you think of the people he worked with, Manny Stewart, Sugar Hill, Adam Booth. That transition was, I think, a fairly natural one for him. and he believes that the best is yet to come from Joseph Parker. And I listen to Andy. He's someone who always makes a lot of sense to me. And we were talking about this in the car on the way here. You look at what heavyweights need, what top-level performers need, and one thing they have to have is that willingness to do whatever it takes to try and win, to never, ever, ever quit. And we know he has that,
yes,
because we saw it against Joe Joyce, because that was a hellacious fight. Some of the punches he took in that fight were absolutely unreal. Andy would have been tempted to pull him out the stages, but he didn't, because he was still landing clean. And deep into the fight, he just wanted to keep going and keep going and keep going. And at that level, and the higher you go, the more you need that. Really, either you have that or you don't have it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, there's not really anything a trainer can do about it. So Andy's got somebody who has that, which is just it's a great place to start.
That fight that you're talking about there, that Joe Joyce fight, was ringside for it. One of the most thrilling heavyweight fights I've ever seen in my life. And I think what you're referring to there, Andy, is the dog. He's got that dog inside of him. Joe Joyce was at the very, very peak of his powers there. People were talking about him being maybe the second best heavyweight in the world. He was running through absolutely everyone. And Joe Parker never backed down, kept fighting back as much as he could, taken deep into deep waters, and had to be drowned really in the end by Joe Joyce, which he normally does to people.
Yeah, absolutely. What he said basically was, you're going to have to knock me out. You're going to have to knock me out because I'm not going any other way. That's how this is going to go. And that, people talk a lot about fighters going out on their shield, and we demand as fans that fighters go out on their shield. It's a really easy thing to say, but for somebody to actually be prepared to do it, in heavyweight boxing particularly, is an altogether different matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to have a quick chat with Joseph Parker and Andy Lee, both going to come in. Oh, let's test the skills here. Joseph Parker, hello. We had Martin Bakole earlier. He had his gloves on, and we needed to see if he could hold the mic, and he did very well. Can you?
Ready, Andy?
Not bad. Not bad. Gentlemen, Andy, where's the suit?
Oh, it's back in the dry cleaners.
How are we feeling, Joe? I mean, this is look at this. Some people don't even get this for their fights.
This is I said it yesterday. Amazing, sensational work that they've done to put this together, and I feel great. There's a nice little shakeout of Andy in there. Feeling sharp and ready to go.
You look in tremendous shape, by the way. It seems ever since the Joe Joyce fight, the fights that I've seen you in since that, your shape keeps getting better and better and better.
Well, listen, it shows that we're putting in the work. We're grinding away, and we're not really, showing a lot of things, but we want to show it on Saturday night.
Me and Andy were having a chat about the Joe Joyce fight, about a fight where you had to show that you had dog in you. And Andy, it must be great for you to work with a fighter that he can go into deep water and he's got that dog in him.
Joe can go to the trenches. He's been there. And at this stage in his career, he doesn't have to prove his toughness anymore. He doesn't have to prove he's hard. He's done all that. So for him now, it's about perfecting, without training, it's about perfecting his technique, getting his sharpness in sparring, not having hard spars and hard work all the time, because he's done all that. That's past it now. I think he's in great form, and this is an amazing experience to be here in Saudi. Just the treatment we've had the last few days, it's been phenomenal, like nothing else.
Andy's had a great time too.
I know you feel that the best is yet to come as well.
It's been a great journey. We're just saying backstage there, like the place it's taken us and the experiences we've had, but unless we win the world title at the end of it, it will be always tinged with sadness. So that's the next thing we have to do now. We're fighting Simon Keane. It's a ranking fight with 2 titles on the line. We put Joe in a great position. And once this undisputed happens, the belts come fragmented again. Joe is right there in a great position. Fight for the title, win the title, and retire, sail off into the sunset, and become my assistant coach.
Well, listen, before you sail off, let's have a little look at Simon Keane. You can see him on the screen there. What do you reckon?
Listen, he's a big guy. He's come prepared, he's come ready. We've watched a lot of his fights, and we can see the good things he's done and also the things that we can work on to get him out of there. So, listen, he's confident and ready, and it's time to work.
He's a very serious guy. We had a brief chat with him yesterday. He didn't say an awful lot. I think he's just here for all business. Does that worry you at all when you've got a fighter who's just like...
Listen, whatever experience he has, he's going to use, but I don't think he's been on a massive stage before. So this tenseness and this nervousness might be something that's getting to him, and we're going to find out soon.
Well, I guess, Andy, that's what it's about. Some fighters, they can deal with a big stage. They can deal with the lights. Joe Parker's one of them. I guess we don't know if Simon Keane is yet.
No, that's true, because he's fought in a stadium in front of 80,000 people. He's been right at the very top of the sport, and that kind of experience is something that you can't buy. Simon Keane does seem like quite an intense individual, so I will be quite interested to see what he's like on the night, because as we go through fight week, Andy, when you see someone for the first time, it is interesting, isn't it, just to see how they are, because their demeanour can change day by day.
Yeah, and under the bright lights, it does a different. Not just him, but his coaches, their experience at this level. It's a test for him and his whole team. He looks good moving around. I can see a lot of breaks in his footwork, which I've seen in his fight footage. But he looks good moving around. Big guy, athletic guy. Not really showing too much, is he?
No. He's keeping his powder dry, isn't he?
Can you take anything from this, Joe? Can you take anything from what you?
Oh, really? It's gonna be.
You know what I thought there? Like, we were in a holding room last night before the grand arrivals. All the heavyweights here, all the undercard heavyweights, Bakole, Takam, Itauma, all of them. The big Russian. Everyone was in great form. Everyone was having a crack. He walked in with a mean face on him, eyeballing everybody. Him and it showed their inexperience to me.
It just shows
But
inexperience.
not to say he's not ready, but that's what I thought.
Nerves.
Maybe nerves. We'll soon find out, though.
So you had a good crack with everyone last night. You met His Excellency as well. Had a lovely dinner. Tell us about that.
Well, listen, it was a great experience to be in. Was it a castle that we went to?
I think it's a farm, but it could have been it was as good as a castle.
It was beautiful. It was, and the food was delicious, and he just welcomed us all to stay and have fun and relax. And we had a great time. And we left and went and rested, and now we're here today.
Brilliant speaking to you, Joe Parker. Brilliant speaking
Thank
to
you,
you, Andy
Dev.
Lee.
Thank you, Andy.
We'll see you again in the week. Thank you so much. Andy Lee, you're a pro. You know where that goes. You know where that goes. Oh, come on. There we go.
Done.
Andy Lee, Joe Parker. They're such a great, fun team. Just two very nice men, likeable guys.
Yeah, they are, absolutely, and they've got so much experience between them, and that's really interesting what they said about Simon Keane.
Yeah.
All I would say is that from what I've seen of Simon, he's totally consistent. He sits in the dining room by himself with a face like thunder.
That's him,
eating.
isn't it?
I saw him in the lift today, and again I walked in, and if I didn't know any better, I'd have thought I was in trouble, because the look he gave me was something else.
Yeah.
But that's just how he is. He's a serious guy. But they're right, it could be indicative of some nerves. It could be, or it could just be how he is all of the time when he's in a fight context.
No, you're absolutely right about the demeanour. There has been, it's only just sort of clocked in my head now, when you're in the hotel restaurant, there's always a guy sat at the end, on his own, just focused on his food and what he's doing. It's Simon Keane, isn't it? It's him.
It is. and actually, interestingly, when he came down out of the ring there, he kind of made a move towards us, with Joe and Andy there, like he wanted to come and get involved in the conversation. He's going off to perform some other interviews at the moment, but that kind of intensity, in a way I like it, but in a way I do kind of worry about it a little bit, because I don't know how sustainable that is, because it does take emotional energy, even if that's how you are all of the time. And this sport is so intense anyway, there has to be some kind of period for relaxation. You have to be able to switch off. I'm not saying he can't do that, I don't know him well enough, but at the same time, that level to be kind of like up here with it all the time, I don't know.
It can be mentally exhausting. We've seen fighters have that kind of thing and then maybe just crumble. And Andy, I understand. Look, I can see loads of faces around. Go and get amongst it. Go and talk to some of these faces. Go on, Andy. Go on. Go do your thing. Mr.
Okay, so I'm just patrolling around to the left-hand side of ringside. Just looking over towards the back. Maybe there's a couple of people I could pick off towards the rear of the assembled throng. It's busy enough around here, certainly, but a couple of people I had my eye on a couple of minutes ago just seem to have disappeared. Oh, actually, there's one gentleman who I think I could probably look to for a chat. Mr. Higgins. This is the live stream for the coverage of Fight Week. So, how are you?
Good, thank you. Pleased to be here.
We just saw Joseph in the ring. We've just seen all the other heavyweights, most of them anyway. It's a massive card, this, isn't it? Just stacked full of massive guys.
Yeah, it's exciting, and credit to the people at the Saudi Arabian administration, the promoters, pulling it all together. It's going to happen.
And what's your overall impression been of Riyadh so far?
I had no idea what to expect. I've never been here before. it seems okay. Yeah, like we had a bit of a look around today, and everyone we came across was quite respectful, and you know, you hear stuff in the media, but it seems pretty good.
And let's just get your thoughts on the top of the bill, because when this was first announced, it attracted some criticism. People wondered why Fury wasn't defending his heavyweight title rather than taking this fight. We now believe, well, we know really, that if what happens on Saturday that we think will happen, which is a Fury win, then that fight against Usyk will be delivered, which kind of voids that criticism in a sense. Has Ngannou got any chance of causing the upset?
There's always a chance, but it's a very, very slim chance. I mean, it would be like you playing tennis against Andre Agassi, or, you know, it's... and Tyson Fury would have to make a very bad mistake at the same time as Ngannou throwing a massive bomb, and then he could win. But I think Fury's definitely the firm favourite.
Okay, thanks for your time. Good to see you as always. We'll catch you again down the road this week. So, oh, there he is. There he is. Steve Bunce, just patrolling around ringside like the boxing don that he is. Here he is.
Sorry,
I just described you, Bunce. It's patrolling around ringside like the boxing don that you are. You've been to lots and lots of places. You've been out to Saudi, of course, as well. But the scale of this, it is different, isn't it?
You know what, Andy? The first time we came, we were in Diriyah, or not the first time, but the first time we came for a big fight. And there's 15,000, and we've got Joshua, and we've got Ruiz, and you're thinking this is about as big as it gets. And they just seem to get bigger. They just can create venues from nowhere. They can build F1 tracks and transfer them 800 miles across country. They can erect 2,000 and 20,000 in there. And it's not me praising the Saudi government and the way they do their business, because I'm here to report, not to support as such. But you just have to look at the grand scale of it and what they can do. And that's before you start talking about the wages that the boxers are getting. I think this British title fight tonight, it's not been confirmed. I think the total fee that the boxers are getting makes it the richest British title fight in history. I don't think there's ever been a British title fight where the two men have shared what David Adeleye and Fabio Wardley are sharing. They're making history, these people. They've got the money to do it, but more than that, they've got the vision to do it.
I did wonder about that, the first British title fight coming to, you know, a different jurisdiction. Just a word about the top of the bill and the people involved in it. What really interests me about it is the fact that in Ngannou, you've got somebody who doesn't feel any kind of inferiority complex to Tyson Fury. He feels that he is absolutely on his level. You've got two massive names going head to head.
Actually, I slightly disagree with you. I think Ngannou is stunned that he's not considered almost the main attraction, because he brings that kind of novelty value. I think he's genuinely stunned. I'm not going to stretch to her, but I think he's genuinely stunned that people think it won't be competitive. I think he's genuinely amazed that people think that he could actually lose. And when he talks about, I'll give Tyson Fury a rematch, he's not doing that for topspin. I think he's doing that because that's the way his mindset is. Now that makes him a dangerous man. I don't think he'll win, don't get me wrong. But someone with that amount of belief, you've been around fighters a long time, Andy, and if fighters have that incredible belief, they don't necessarily win, but boy, they go down swinging.
Okay. Great line to finish on, Steve. Great to speak to you as always. Okay, so time for another fighter. Let's go back to Thomas Schreiber.
Our next fighter to the ring, competing this Saturday in a 12-round contest, and it'll be for the British, WBO European, WBA Continental, and the vacant Commonwealth Heavyweight Championships. First, we welcome, coming to us from London, England, he is undefeated with 12 wins. 11 of his 12 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBO European Heavyweight Champion, David Adeleye.
Well, here comes Big D, David Adeleye. Look at the setup here. This is a public workout, and he's got like a Titantron behind him. This is WWE style for just a public workout, and David Adeleye does not look out of place, does he? He is soaked in every moment. I'll tell you, they kept him waiting up there a little while you were speaking to Steve Bunce, but he was taking it all in. He was feeling himself, Andy.
And you get that sense from both of them, don't you? We were chatting to Fabio a few minutes ago, and he was as cool as you'd like back there, just, as you say, soaking it in and just enjoying the fact that they've got this stage to operate on. They're two very confident fighters. And as we said to him yesterday, he was out here in February, casting his eye over everything around that Jake Paul-Tommy Fury fight week, and that was very useful experience for him. I don't think it'll prove to be in any way the difference between the two, but I just love this fight. I love this fight ever since it was made. It was a little bit unfortunate, the roll around they had at the press conference, but having said that, you know, no real harm done in the end. It didn't jeopardise the fight. They're both here. As Steve said, they're both going to work very well out of this, and the profile of the fight has risen higher as a result, and I can't wait to see this one.
Oh no, this is one that has got the public's mouth watering. It feels like you win this fight, you are an unbeaten British heavyweight champion. You've got 3 other belts, including the Commonwealth. You've got WBA, great ranking with the WBA. You'll get a great ranking with the WBO. You become in the conversation for maybe guys like Joseph Parker, who we've been speaking to. Maybe guys like that. You start entering that frame. Not the very top table, not with Fury, not with Wilder, not with guys like that, not with Usyk. But there's a kind of strand below that these guys will start entering if they win this fight.
Yeah, they've got some rankings between them, these two. Fabio's at 11 with the WBA. He's just made the top 15 with the IBF. David's at 9 with the WBO. So whoever wins will sweep those belts, which is great in itself, but they will also be pretty much in the top 10 with 3 out of the 4 sanctioning bodies, and that's a very good position to be in, because we touched on it earlier, and Andy reiterated it there, Andy Lee with Joseph Parker. We are kind of waiting, or fighters are kind of waiting for the belts to fragment, because for 5 years now, 5.5 pretty much, we've had a situation where all 4 have been held by 2 people. The identities have changed briefly at times, but all 4 belts held by 2 people. It's awkward because it makes it hard to get a title shot, and that could change relatively soon.
Well, exactly that, and also the winner of this fight, as you say, he'll have all those rankings, he'll have all those belts. They can both chat, they both look the part as well, and sometimes when it comes to getting big fights, things like that help. You need to be marketable, you need to have something about you. I'm looking at David Adeleye in the ring now. He's dancing, he's moving, he's smiling, he's soaking it all in. In terms of ticking boxes, everything outside the ring, that's already been ticked. We'll find out on Saturday if he fully ticks it inside the ring.
Yeah, of course. It's an all-round package, this sport. We spoke to Fabio about it yesterday, about the need to understand all facets of it. And you do need to understand it all. You do need to have that marketability, that ability to appeal across the board, to be attractive to sponsors, if you like, but also to be attractive to fans, to switch that vocabulary when needed, to speak different languages in a sense, and they can both do that. You know, I think that's what makes this, in a lot of ways, such an enticing matchup. And Fabio, for example, you know, he wants to fight at Ipswich Town Football Club, Portman Road. You can get about 30,000 in there. He believes that at some point in the not too distant future, he can fill that.
Well, that is Big D, David Adeleye. We're going to have a chat with one of the men that has made all of this happen, Mr. Spencer Brown. How are you, sir?
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I mean, when this first fight first came about, this event, did you ever think it would turn out like this?
No. I thought it'd be pretty close, but I've never seen anything like this. Have you?
I haven't.
Have you been in the main stadium?
Not yet.
Go in there, you will not believe it. It's not just this is not just a boxing match. This is the biggest boxing event I've ever seen.
This is just the workout, Spencer, and it looks like a WWE event. This is ridiculous.
I walked in here early and I thought, oh, this must be the main area. And then he took me into, and I saw all the dancing, and is it Little Baby?
Yeah, I believe it's Lil Baby. People have been calling him Little Baby. It's Lil Baby.
Sorry, Lil Baby. I just saw him doing the rehearsals.
Right.
Go and have a look. You can't believe it. They've done marvellous, haven't they?
How did this happen, Spencer? Give me, sort of summarise it in a little bit for me.
You're
How did it
asking for
happen?
some secrets there.
Come on.
I'll tell you a few. So I'll give you. Right, it was quite easy actually. We got a knock on the door. A guy literally knocked on my door. So we had a meeting. We had a meeting 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. They had 10 days to get back to us. The 10 days expired.
Right.
Tyson, don't bother. This is a waste of time. It's not going to happen. Let's move on. So obviously, Frank went back to Frank and said, Frank, don't look like it's going to happen, mate. I think we're going to have to look at England. Then I went back. They came back to me. I got a knock on the door, and literally 2 guys stayed in my house for 4 days.
Wow.
That's how it happened.
Wow.
And I said, don't bother getting a hotel, stay here, and let's see if we can work it out. I took him to Tyson's house. Tyson met him again, and he said, I think this might be real. We both agreed. I rung Frank, rung George, and said, we think this is actually real. This is not a dream. This is actually going to happen. And Tyson gave me the blessing to go over to New York. So did George. So did Frank. Go and do it. So I went and done the deal. We went to Turkey Al Sheikh, who sat us down, explained what it was, and we done it. It was that easy.
So literally,
in 4 hours. We done it in 4 hours.
Opportunity knocked. Literally.
Oh, very
knocked.
good. Very good.
I like that. It's very
That's
good.
right, that wasn't it?
But yeah, opportunity did knock, and look where we are today. So it's amazing what fate can do.
It's exactly that. And Andy, look, we were talking about the Usyk fight, right? It's sort of, look, it's no secret, Spencer. They put out posters and stuff. There's no secret anymore.
No.
But where is Tyson's head with that? Because it's not often, and it's not normally seen as like a positive thing for the fighter to have his next fight already scheduled, especially when he's got someone like Francis Ngannou in front of him.
Well, it's totally unheard of. Look, it's going to be the biggest event we've ever seen, and I think obviously with it being on the 23rd of December, it's going to be a lot harder for people to get out there. But if you're looking to go to somewhere for Christmas, what better place? Driving down here, they've got fun fairs. You can even swim with dolphins here, just down the road there. So if you want to come here for a Christmas break, all right, there's no drink, but I don't think you need it. Give drink a break. Come here and enjoy yourself. They've got everything, and they're so polite. You know yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've met the people. They're lovely. They open their hearts to you. They open their homes to you.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think it's been a real eye opener, isn't it? And you know, when Frank said this is a game changer, this is what he meant. This is a game changer. This is not something that's going to be a flash in the pan. This is going to be something that we're going to see for a long time. And I don't know how you're going to bet at this event, but I spoke to Turkey Al Sheikh last night.
I think I'll find a way.
Yeah, I spoke to him last night, and he actually said, don't worry, I've got something better coming.
Oh.
So I don't know what he's going to do. But
How'd you get better than this, Spencer?
Well, I don't know. That's the answer to you. But obviously they've got something planned. They've got something up the sleeve.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Nor can I. And I think it's going to be a tremendous night. So buy the pay-per-view, because it's going to be unbelievable.
It is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable hearing that story. A knock on the door, opportunity.
A knock on the door, opportunity knocks, and we're here now with I don't know, and it just seems very surreal. And the Usyk fight was very easy to make as well.
Brilliant, and we'll hear all about that, I'm sure, in the coming days too.
In the next interview.
Thank you so much for
All
joining
right,
us.
nice to
Spencer.
see you, lads. Thank
We're going
you.
to go back to our MC, Thomas Treiber.
Welcome to the ring, coming to us from Ipswich, England, undefeated with 16 wins. 15 of his 16 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending British and WBA Continental Heavyweight Champion, Fabio Wardley.
Okay, well, we are watching Fabio Wardley make his ring walk right now, the unbeaten British and WBA Continental Heavyweight Champion, and with us on commentary, having a look at me at the moment, but also having a look at the screen, is the one and only David Adeleye. What do you see, David?
Nothing. another guy. You know, someone I'm going to beat up on the weekend. You know, nothing new.
When you had your workout, I saw you do something. I don't know how many people clocked this. You had your right hand up in the air and you were like shaking it like this was going to be the hand that deals the blow.
The money maker.
Yeah, you know, I'm just showing him my treasure. Yeah, his team was giving it a big talk, you know, but it's all fun and games, man. They're trying to get in my head, but I like this sort of stuff, you know. Yeah, it's all good. It's cute. That's what I call it. They're cute.
So, look, he's feeling himself in there as well. What do you make of Fabio Wardley's demeanour? He looks relaxed. You look relaxed as well, and he's got a few moves, David. You got them moves?
He can't dance like me. No way. And he can't box like me too. You know, on the weekend you'll see that. But yeah, the demeanour and everything, the fight hype, I don't really build into none of that. You know, all of these fights, they're looking into a lot of these small things. I mean, he was meant to go first. He asked for me to go first. I mean, I don't care. I'll go first. I'm in a certain change room. He asked to change the change room. All right, then, give me the change room.
Are these mind games, though? Is he playing mind games with you?
Maybe he is, but maybe he's playing them all for himself, because for me, it doesn't do nothing. You know, I can see his team there. So, you know, I just kind of like pulled faces at them just to wind them up. They're always biting, so I like this game.
Yeah. I can see members of his team close by. I can also see plenty of security, which is good, David.
Yeah, they're not there for me. I mean, they're there for his protection.
Love that.
I don't need no security, trust me. They're there for his protection. You all know that, though.
So, I'm curious, prior to this fight being made, have you two ever spent much time around each other? You've not sparred, have you, or anything like that, or found yourself in the same gym on the same day, anything like that?
No, we was meant to spar, and then we got a call that he got sick halfway through the journey. So we went back home, and that's as far as it went. Like I said to you, it was nothing personal. You know, he just thought he was something he isn't, and that's all it was. You know, he's a man with a belt. I want the belt, and that's it.
So he pulled out of the spar, is that what you're saying, David?
Yeah, he knows that, though. Bring it up to him, he knows that.
Well, we will ask.
I don't lie about nothing, you know me, I'm an honest man. And I rate myself. So how other people rate me doesn't really matter, because I rate myself. So, you know, yeah, I'm an honest person.
There's a lot of heavyweights knocking about. I know you're a guy very, very ambitious. You believe you can go all the way to the top of the sport. You got your eyes on anyone else in the hotel or anything?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I'm just asking, dude.
No, you know, there's a lot of heavyweights on the show. It'll be an interesting show, but, you know, like I said, I'll focus on that after I get this guy out the way. You know, like I said, I don't shy away from fights, and I don't pull out of fights over here. So when things get offered to me, I'll take them.
All right, Big D, great speaking to you. I think we're going to have a chat with Fabio Wardley. I can't imagine you'll stick around for that, but we will see you soon.
Sorry in advance, because I know it was a bit boring as well. So
come on.
No problem.
Come on. Big D, David Adeleye. Very interesting thing he said there, which we will ask Fabio Wardley about. He talked about how one of them was supposed to walk first and then the other one had to go. One of them wanted a certain changing room, but Fabio Wardley maybe put his foot down and got his changing room. Mind games, Andy Clark?
Yeah, of course. You expect that at this level of the sport, because if I'm Fabio Wardley, I'm standing my ground on all of that, because I'm the reigning and defending British champion. And he's got the WBA Continental, David's got the WBO ranking belt, the Commonwealth is vacant. But the main title here for us, we know what it is, it's the British title. So if you're Fabio Wardley, I think if I were him, I would regard it as being important that I was deferred to, basically, in those situations. I would want to choose. And as champion, you want to walk second, generally, don't you? You want the changing room that you want, all of those kinds of things. So, you know, it's interesting stuff, that.
He's got a great relationship with his coach, Fabio Wardley, as you just saw there on your screen. He very nearly punched him in the face. And I've been in the gym with them where they've had sessions. They've got a great banter between them, but they can suddenly flick that switch and turn very serious very quickly and make sure they get their work done. Tonight's all about them having a bit of fun, though, isn't it? But I did see Rob did very nearly take one.
He did, and that's a hazard of the occupation, isn't it? I think when you're a boxing trainer, I've seen it happen in gyms a few times. But they are a good combination. They've been together from the start. Robert's one of these guys who you could tell when you very first met him. all he wants is the best for Fabio. So he's happy for him to go to other gyms and do a little bit of work with other trainers, as he has been with Ben Davison, for example.
Yeah.
He's going to be the guy in the corner on the night because he knows him best.
Yeah.
And that's really important. But it's really important as well to have somebody, as I say, who just wants the best for you, who doesn't have that insecurity whereby he doesn't want you ever speaking to anybody else. That's how you let a fighter develop and grow. So I really like that about him, and I always have.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, he's down in that Ben Davison gym quite a lot, gets to high quality sparring the likes of Alois Jr, unbeaten cruiserweight, who is a handful, an absolute monster.
Oh,
Guys
isn't he?
like that.
Isn't he just?
Oh, mate, he is a very, very watchable cruiserweight, and I'm sure he's giving Wardley plenty of work. I've seen Fabio Wardley sparring Moses Itauma, Moses Itauma spars everyone, so that's no surprise at all. But this is a guy getting around the gyms, sparring everyone, apart from David Adeleye, apparently.
Well, we might get the other side of that. But I remember talking to Fabio about going out to spar Usyk, I think it was, and he was fresh, he was pretty green as a pro, and he went over by himself on his own. He just says, just send me a ticket, it'll be fine, pick me up from the airport. So he went by himself, and I think Team Usyk, from what I understand, were really impressed by that.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody of his lack of experience basically was happy just to travel by himself and just see what he found out there. No airs, no graces, he was there to learn.
Yeah.
Not many people do that.
Do you know what it is? It feels like he's just one of those lone wolves. The whole build-up to all of this, he seemed pretty much undeterred, unbothered. I think the word is phlegmatic. He's devoid of much emotion. He's pretty relaxed, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. That's his natural setting. But you always get the impression that there's something lurking beneath the surface and not too far below the surface. You know, he's one of these people who he listens when you talk to him. Yeah. He's not just waiting for you to stop so he can start talking again. And that's quite often the case.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just waiting for you to finish.
Very good. Very good.
I jest.
But yeah, he's an intelligent guy. Yeah. I think they both are. They're both confident. And one of them is going to lose on Saturday, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But depending on the manner of the defeat, that will dictate what kind of a setback it is, really.
Yeah. And remember, neither of these guys have been past 6 rounds, right? It's quite something. And look, it's their own fault. They keep knocking everyone out, right? Bar 1 for each guy. So neither of them have actually been taken into those deep waters late into a fight where you do have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Have they skipped any runs? Have they actually got the tank that maybe they need at championship level? Maybe we're going to find out the answer to some of those questions on Saturday night, and we'll be speaking now to Mr. Fabio Wardley, who is coming in. Here he is, jogging his way in. Fabio Wardley, good. How you feeling?
That's hard work, wasn't it?
You enjoy yourself up there?
Yeah, no, it's good laugh. Good fun, man. Enjoy it. Yeah, some decent tunes playing. I'm surprised I didn't see you cutting a few shapes or anything like that.
Hey, you can see it. I've got a few.
Couple of moves.
Listen, we're speaking to David Adeleye. He was watching you. He said you're the guy who's going to beat up on Saturday night. Oh, what do you think about that?
That's his job, isn't it? Who else is he going to try and beat up on Saturday night? That's what we brought him in to do, isn't it? He's going to try. There
was a couple of things that he said about, in the build-up to this, apparently you were meant to go in the ring first, but you said no. Apparently you were meant to be in a certain changing room, but you demanded a different one. Are there a few mind games going on? What's going on?
It's just fun and games, isn't it? Just letting him know who's in charge, that's all. Hey, I've done more than him. I've earned my stripes more. You come to me, you want my belt, fair enough. Earn it.
Yeah, you can't. I was saying you can't be walking first if you're the British champion. That your right is to walk second, and it's important. It's important to establish that ground.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's establishing the pecking order. I'm up here. You're somewhere down there. You're trying to find your way in that. But look, I've done the hard work already. I've earned my fights. I've earned my belt. I get all the privileges that come with that. If I get in a change room on a different side of the arena, or I walk in a different in a different corner of the ring, look, they're small things, but hey, they're all things I've earned along the way.
Do you think that these sorts of things are getting in his head a little bit?
I don't know. I'm not fussed if they are or if they're not. It's not about him. It's about me. Give me the rights I deserve as a champion. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. Nothing special. I'm not asking for fireworks and fancy tricks and a magician. I just want what's owed to me.
Look, you probably will get it on Saturday.
To be fair,
if you ask for them, you probably would get them.
Listen, the other thing we spoke about when David Adeleye was here was about this sparring session that never happened. Now, he said you were apparently on your way, and then, you weren't on your way anymore. What happened?
I don't know. It's a sparring session he's clearly holding on to. Look, there's a few different heavyweights down my gym that I train at. Whether he was down to spar me or some of the other boys, I don't know. But there's no point in my life where I got the call to spar David Adeleye and I went, oh no, let me turn around and go home. Like, I sparred Fraser Clark, I don't know, a few months ago, not even long before. And look, we're probably due to fight at some point in the future as well. Like, I ain't fussed about that. I sparred Nathan Gorman for about 2 months in the build-up to his fight first time around, and then it came around that we fought for the British title after that. So look, if people want to get a little look on me and prior to, you can have a go, but sparring's very different to the night.
We were talking about this, how you don't seem fussed by anything. I bet if we check your heart rate, it's barely doing anything, despite all of this, despite just doing a little workout. You're unfussed, right?
Well, I don't know. It's a bit warm out here, so it's probably beating a little bit. But look, it's not about being unfussed. It's about just enjoying the moment. Like, just going like, look, it's a special event, special occasion. I'm privileged enough to be a part of it. Take a second, look around, soak it up. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I think my normal demeanour is I'm pretty chilled, pretty calm. Not too much gets to me, anyways.
Did it get to you last night having dinner with His Excellency? I saw the photos going around. It looked like quite a big thing.
I was there.
I know.
I was there as well, and I don't know if anyone was paying attention, but someone turned up a bit late, and His Excellency wasn't too happy. So that weren't me.
Tell us your thoughts right now, as we are on the Wednesday of Fight Week. How you've been treated, how you've enjoyed it, and how you're going to deal with David Adeleye. Sum all of that up for me.
In which order?
Come on, Fabio.
I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
Yeah.
The week's not over yet. There's still a lot more to get in before we get there on the fight night. And I've been treated fantastically. QP, all the team here, the Saudi team and all the guys, everyone's been brilliant. Like, no one could be more accommodating. It's been a fantastic event, something I've been really excited to be a part of. And Saturday night, after everyone's all done their bit, it's now time for me to do my bit and put on a show for everyone to have a watch. And that's definitely what I intend to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can't wait for it. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Fabio Wardley. We are now going to go back to our MC, Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to the media workout as we get set for Battle of the Baddest, a great night of championship boxing to be held this Saturday in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We would like to extend a big thank you to His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Al-Sheikh. This great event is being brought to you by Sella, Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, and Gimmick. It will be televised live in the UK on TNT Sports Box Office, in the United States on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, and around the world in other territories on DAZN. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our main event this Saturday night, it is scheduled for 10 rounds. It is a WBC special event in the heavyweight division. We will first welcome to the ring a native of Cameroon. He is now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, and he brings a professional MMA record of 17 wins, 3 defeats, with 12 of his 17 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the lineal mixed martial arts heavyweight world champion, Francis the Predator Ngannou.
Well, here he comes, the Predator, born for the big, big stage, the man who has been proving people wrong his entire life. He's got impossible task in front of him that many people are saying on Saturday night. He takes on the lineal and WBC World Heavyweight Champion of boxing, Tyson Fury. And now, one of the questions heading into this week, heading into this workout is, how's he going to look on the pads? We are joined by Billy Nelson, boxing trainer, Martin Bakole's trainer, and of course Andy Clark. What are we expecting, Billy?
Well, I'm sure he's been working hard in the gyms in America with Mike Tyson, and you know, he has got some experience in punching and striking through the sport that he partook in. Looking at him now, he's an absolute specimen of a man, and you wouldn't like to get hit with him, that's for sure.
He's an absolute unit, Andy Clark. Look at him.
Yeah, he is, and like Billy was saying, you know, he's got that kind of basis when it comes to punching. He told us yesterday he had that brief amateur career. I mean, it's about mechanics, isn't it, Billy? Really, he's got the level of athleticism that you need. So if you, I mean, you had to teach Thor how to punch, basically, didn't you? So and that's taking someone from scratch. So if you were working with someone like Ngannou from day one, what are you looking to get him doing?
Just concentrate solely on the basics and perfecting the basics, mastering that, and everything else, and his instinctive fighting brain should kick in after that.
Well, a big moment in the life of Francis Ngannou. He said that his first dream was actually to become a boxing heavyweight champion. He just stumbled into MMA. He wanted to be a boxer, but in France, where he was, they said, you're better off going the MMA route. And he went that route, and my goodness, did he go that route. Some of the knockouts that he's got, Billy Nelson, I mean, they would even make Martin Bakole proud.
They really would. I mean, he's a ferocious puncher. I mean, you can just, there's something about him that tells you that a big puncher. But he's going in with an absolute master, a master of boxing on Saturday night, and Tyson Fury. And, you know, I wish him well. I wish him all the best. You know, he's got the minerals to go in with him, so good on him.
What do we think about the idea that punchers are born, not made? Let's have this discussion, because I think we are looking at a man who was born with frightening power. Are they born, Andy?
From talking to trainers quite a lot recently about this exact thing, what they tell me, Bill, is that if you've got a boxer or a potential boxer with a good level of athleticism, with a certain level of athleticism, then you can teach them to punch. You can teach them the mechanics. Certain people will take to it quicker than others, but you just have a certain level of athletic ability, particularly straight punches, you know, with the weight transfer and rotation. You can teach someone to punch hard.
That is the thing, that's the key, the rotation of the waist, the athleticism, and you actually knocked the nail on the head there. It's how they take it in and absorb the information that their coaches are giving them. Some people take a little longer than others, and the ones that pick up quicker develop quicker, don't you? It's just like any form of education.
What do we think about the, I mean, he's not, I can't see him here tonight, but he will be there on Saturday. He has been in his camp. Francis Ngannou has had Mike Tyson as part of his training team. He has been coaching him. He has been giving him that advice, that positivity, that mindset. How do we feel that will affect Francis Ngannou heading into the biggest fight of his life and his boxing debut?
Well, it can only be a good thing for him. I mean, Mike Tyson, you know, he's a legend of the sport. There's nothing Mike Tyson hasn't seen, done, or you know, he's done everything that there is in boxing. So anything that man would say to me, I would absorb that information, take it all in, and try and use it to the best of my ability.
He's doing that old thing now, isn't he? Just wrapping his hands for ages. I remember going to the workout before Anthony Joshua against Vladimir Klitschko, and Vladimir just got a chair, sat in the middle of the ring and wrapped and taped his hands for about half an hour. It was absolutely exasperating. One thing he said to us yesterday, Billy, Francis, was that I said, how have you managed to try and replicate Fury in training? And he said, I haven't. I've just been concentrating on myself. I'm not that bothered about Fury. You know, a guy is a guy, that kind of thing. I get that, but at the same time, being able to punch hard on a punching machine is one thing. Being able to hit a moving target like Fury is an altogether different one.
Yeah, that's entirely right there. You know, you can have all the power in the world, but if you don't connect on something, then you're not going to hurt it. You know, and I know firsthand how good Tyson Fury is. We watched him spar my boxer. You know, he's a defensive masterclass, so he is, and it's going to be very, very difficult for him to hit hard.
Well, listen, I think Francis Ngannou knows that. A lot of people have been asking him about his power. Can he land that shot? And he tends to dismiss it, and he tends to say it's not just about landing one shot, it's about getting into range and landing punches. So I think they're maybe there's a bit of a myth out there that he's just going to be following him around the ring, trying to land a big right hand. I think there's going to be a little bit more we'll see on Saturday night from Francis Ngannou.
Well, there's one thing, trying to get in distance, trying to get into distance, it's very, very difficult with somebody like Tyson Fury, because his height and more so the reach that he's got. His reach is phenomenal, and once you get past that reach, that might nullify his power shots, because his power shots are the straight shots. You know, the rotation of the. I don't think he's going to get those shots off against Tyson, and if he doesn't get them off, then he may be in a bit of bother.
Well, he's got nothing to lose at all, Andy Clark. I mean, you talk about the risk reward. It feels like Tyson Fury is the one who is risking everything in this fight. Francis Ngannou, he's got it all to gain, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He can't. I'd slightly hesitate to say that it's a no-lose, because in his head, he's not going to look at it like that. He's a champion in his own sport. He's top of the tree, and Bonsi was just saying to us, Billy, that you get the vibe from Ngannou that he can't quite understand why everybody thinks he's got no chance, because in his mind, he absolutely has a chance. And having that confidence, that mentality, you know, it is important. He might not win, but do you think there's a chance that he could cause some problems in there on Saturday that we maybe don't expect?
In all fairness, I don't think he's. See, it's not just about punching hard, which he clearly can do. You have to create those opportunities, and he might not have the boxing awareness to do that in the ring. You know, setting traps, slipping punches, parrying punches. We don't know if he can do that.
The one thing you have to remember about Francis Ngannou is the sort of stuff that we're saying there about. It's 1 in a million kind of thing. It was 1 in a million for him to leave Cameroon. It was 1 in a million for him to survive being homeless on the streets of Paris, eating rats, going from homeless shelter to homeless shelter. 1 in a million, really, for him to become an MMA fighter, a UFC world heavyweight champion. He is used to defying those odds.
Very much so, and credit to the man for everything that he's achieved in his career. You can only take bout him, you know what I mean? And I wish him well, you know, I wish him well in everything that he does. But, you know, with regards to boxing ability, Tyson Fury is not number one in the world for nothing. If it was role reversal and Tyson went to his discipline, it'd be very similar, you know what I mean? Role reversal.
Well, he's making us wait, but we're going to see him let his hands go in just a minute. We were saying earlier on that when you see someone with real top level power hit the pads, it makes a different kind of noise. It's that sharper explosion of air, that ping sound rather than a thud. I mean, you've been around this a long time. Who's the most explosive puncher you've seen on the pads or taken on the pads?
Currently I train a young lad called Lewis Crocker, and he is a ferocious puncher. He actually hurts your hands on the pads. He's a ferocious puncher. But I remember, it must have been about 15 years ago, Jimmy Tibbs used to train Wayne Alexander. Yeah. And we were down in the Lennox Lewis Centre down in, I think it's called Lewisham. A Clapton or something.
It's a Clapton, I know it.
It was a great facility for boxing. And I had the privilege to watch Wayne Alexander on the pads with Jimmy, and it was like being in a shooting range. Ka-chung, ka-chung. Oh, the right hands were frightening. Absolutely a ferocious puncher.
Well, look, Francis Ngannou has now gloved up. We are so used to seeing Francis Ngannou with very, very small gloves on. Look at the size of them, and that is the difference between MMA and boxing. I mean, how big are those gloves do you think he's got on there?
I think they're 16s he's got on.
Yeah.
I think they're 16s. I mean, I believe that is it 4-ounce gloves that they wear?
Correct, yeah.
So even he's going to wear a 10-ounce glove in the fight, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, for all the power that he does produce, that'll decrease a little with wearing a slightly bigger glove, obviously. And keeping those gloves up. Keeping 4-ounce gloves up would be a bit easier than 10s, obviously.
So these will be heavier gloves to keep up. So it will tire a fighter out keeping them up.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. I can see why they're using the sticks to replicate the longer reach, which is a good tactic.
Yeah, I guess they are replicating the long range, the jab of Tyson Fury. And I guess we're having a look at what Francis Ngannou can do with his head work, right? With his movement.
It looks good. It looks good. Good lateral movement. Elbows are a wee bit out, but you know, very good. You know.
Well, here we go. Here is the pads that people have been waiting for. Are we looking at the man who can trouble Tyson Fury on Saturday? I mean, in terms of the head movement that we just had, a little bit of moving about, I don't think he looks particularly out of place there in terms of in a boxing ring. We've seen him on the pads now as well. Can he shock the world?
I don't think he'll shock the world, but you know, he'll certainly give Tyson a lot to think about. The old saying in boxing, the pads don't hit back.
Billy, look at the size of this man's legs.
Big legs. Yeah.
The guy's an absolute monster. This is a...
That's where the power comes from.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and well done, cameraman, for zooming in. Let's get a little bit more than the calves, though. Give me a bit of thigh. Size of this guy, unbelievable.
If you were cornering him on Saturday, Bill, if you were leading the corner, what would you be saying to him in terms of a game plan?
That's a very difficult question to answer because I don't know his true boxing ability, what his strengths and weaknesses are. If he's a puncher, you've got to ask him to keep that head moving. He's got to keep the head moving no matter what, because Tyson Fury at distance will just ping his head, and once he gets his distance from his jab, then he'll just get that right hand, coming off. You know what it's like.
Well, trainer Dewey Cooper is wearing something that Francis Ngannou was about to hit very hard, I'm sure. I wouldn't want to be him right now. In terms of Tyson on Saturday night, we've seen in other fights before, sometimes he'll put his hands behind his back, sometimes he'll poke his tongue out. He's a guy who likes to have fun, sometimes in the most ridiculous situations, like when he's hurt against Wilder. He does like to have a bit of fun. Do you think he'll be pulling any faces or having fun on Saturday night?
I think he'll have Francis. Yeah, I think he'll go out at first minute, have a good look at him, judge his speed, see what he's got, and then Tyson. I mean, Tyson is an exceptional fighter, and I think he'll show his full array of skills. I think Francis will have great difficulty getting past Tyson Fury's jab. It's an educated jab for many years. You just can't go in a boxing gym and have a jab like Tyson Fury's. You know what I mean?
One thing I would point out is that I believe Tyson Fury in his career has been dropped by people who don't hit as hard as Francis Ngannou. You've got to remember, this guy that we're looking at right now is in the Guinness Book of World Records for punching harder than anyone else in the world. Tyson Fury early in his career has been dropped by guys like Steve Cunningham, Neven Pajcik in particular, and I don't think they hit as hard as this guy.
I mean, it's kind of impossible to tell, really, because like we said before, hitting a punching machine is one thing. Being able to land solid on someone who's on the move is another. I mean, one thing that trainers do say, and I mentioned it earlier on in the evening, is that if you catch somebody clean with one they don't see, then anyone can go. But the problem is catching Tyson Fury clean with one he doesn't see, because Deontay Wilder's put him down 4 times but hasn't been able to put him away. So when you assess all of that, it is the tall task that we thought it would be for Ngannou. But I'll just be interested to see if he can give us something a little bit unexpected on the night.
What I would say, looking at him hitting the pads there, he throws a body shot with a very straight leg, and for a man that punches very hard, if he dipped his legs a little more, he'll generate a lot more power. But watching him with 16-ounce gloves on, he's got reasonable hand speed.
Well, Billy Nelson, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for your
thanks, Billy.
insight. And I think you only mentioned Martin Bakole once, so well done. Well done. Well done, Billy Nelson. Thank you so much. Well, that was the insight of a boxing trainer, Billy Nelson. What do you make of what you're watching right now, Andy Clark?
It's really interesting to watch him, you know, really interesting, because when he was doing that kind of routine on the pads, he tapped the jab, then go up with the jab, then look to throw the right hand, and he was slightly hesitant. I think he's aware really that this kind of stage he's on at the moment, he's kind of feeling his way a touch, and that's always going to be the case when you've not been at this all that long, because swapping over to boxing from MMA would be like doing it the other way around. And what could we realistically expect Tyson to achieve if he stepped into the octagon?
Hey, listen, if you ask him,
onto Ngannou's home turf. I know what he'll say if you ask him, but he's not. These people are not always the greatest judges of their own strengths, to be honest with you, because they think they're amazing at everything.
Yeah,
that's partly why they get to where they get to.
No, absolutely. And the point I was referring to there was actually at the very end of the first launch press conference in London. It did start, it was quite friendly, but it started getting a little bit spicy the moment Tyson said that he can actually beat Francis Ngannou in a cage as well. And I don't know, look, he might even try that one day. In the wild career of Tyson Fury, do not rule out seeing him in an octagon, in a cage one day.
No, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. You wouldn't rule anything out with him. He's the kind of character who seeks new experiences, but I would advise against it for exactly the same reason that this is going to be very hard for Ngannou. That would be extremely hard for Fury. It just would. And boxing it's kind of amazing how in these crossover events, kind of we get to, you know, our game, our rules. You know, that's how it generally turns out, isn't it? But I've got all the respect in the world to him for doing it. I know he's going to get phenomenally well paid for this, but when you get to that level of the sport, yes, the money does matter. It's always important because you want to get paid what you're worth, and we're talking about money here that could be life-changing for future generations of Ngannou. But at the same time, you're in there for the glory and to win. That's what you're there for. So, as Bunsey said, he absolutely does not think that he is going to lose this fight. It's not the same, but I remember when Canelo boxed Bivol, and people were making Canelo quite a heavy favourite, and Bivol just couldn't. He literally couldn't understand it. Like, why are you all mad? Like, why would you think that?
Yeah.
Like I say, it's not the same, but Ngannou has got that champion's mindset where, in his mind, he is going to win.
Well, we are about to speak to the man they call the Predator, an absolute unit of a man, the one and only Francis Ngannou. Francis, how are you, sir? How are you? Good to see you.
Your face too much.
I know. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. Please. Well, so you've seen my face everywhere, but I tell you.
Can somebody help me with my gloves, please?
Have you? How do those gloves feel?
Huh?
How do the gloves feel?
Feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I love them.
A lot bigger than what you're used to, right? I mean, how do you feel in terms of when you actually hit something? Does it still feel the same?
Even in MMA, we use a big glove for training, for sparring. We are very protected when we spar because we need our opponent and to be safe, and ourselves too, because we have a lot of risk of injury, and every kind of injury, knee, we protect ourselves pretty good.
What were you trying to show us in there today? What were you trying to show the public?
Nothing. I was just having fun.
I knew it.
I almost wanted to just dance. Then I realized that I will show them my dance skill. And I'm like, nah.
You can show us now if you like.
No. I don't have any. I mean, just a little, but not too much.
No, you don't want to give too much away, do you? It's what I wonder is, do you feel that in the build-up to this you've been shown the respect you deserve by the boxing community, or do you feel, we're boxing people, do you feel that in general boxing has not shown you enough respect?
Well, let's be honest, I haven't gained any respect from boxing community, so I'm not expecting anybody to respect me. I think I need to gain my own respect, to claim my own respect. You know, respect is not given. You don't just walk around and demand for people to respect you for no reason. I think respect is earned, and I'm gonna earn my respect.
whether it's in the boxing community or in life in general. That's my goal, to earn my respect.
There seems to be an opinion from the boxing public that what you're going to do is follow Tyson around and just try and land that big punch. But I think there's going to be a bit more than that, isn't there, Francis?
Well, they're going to find out. I think people have a right to think. There's 8 billion people on earth, so you have to understand it's 8 billion opinion. But there's only one opinion that's going to matter. There is mine. So people have a right to think, and you can't control people of having an opinion, you know. Yes, I'm going to fight, and if that big shot comes, yes. If it doesn't come, I really intend to fight properly.
You've spent your whole life making the impossible possible. Is it possible for you to beat Tyson Fury on Saturday night?
Everything is possible. Everything is possible. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. In fact, see where we are talking about Tyson Fury. We would have believed that a couple of years ago. Even last year, we would have believed that. But here we are talking about that fight that is going to happen in 3 days. So it's quite possible.
Absolutely incredible speaking to you, Francis Ngannou. Thank you so much. We're going to lose you. Got the fist bump in the end. Let's go back to our MC, patiently waiting, Thomas Treiber.
And now let's welcome to the ring the heavyweight sensation fighting out of Morecambe, England. He brings an undefeated record with 33 wins, 1 draw. 24 of his 33 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the lineal boxing heavyweight world champion and the reigning WBC heavyweight champion of the world, known as the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Well, here comes Tyson Fury, the WBC and lineal heavyweight world champion, the world champion of boxing, of course, taking on the lineal MMA heavyweight champion. And as ever, as you expect, Tyson really feeling himself and enjoying every moment like he has done so far in Fight Week, Andy.
This is what he lives for, isn't it? Quite simply. He loves the energy of Fight Week. He loves the build-up to Fight Week. I get the feeling that he's one of these rare performers who actually enjoys camp because he knows what's coming at the end of it. He's addicted to this stage, and I think most top-level performers in any sport, but particularly in boxing, it really is an addiction, and that's why it can be hard when it comes to an end. But whilst it's going, whilst it's in full flow, there is absolutely nothing like it.
Well, that was quite a combo we just saw from Tyson Fury. I saw a left, I saw a right, I saw a knee, I saw a headbutt. Some of that stuff you can do in MMA, some of it you actually can't do anywhere. The headbutt, I'm not sure that's actually allowed, Andy Clark, but he's feeling himself, isn't he?
He is, he absolutely is. He expects to win on Saturday, and he expects to win comfortably.
Yeah.
And we expect him to win as well. But there's something else at play here, of course, which is that fight against Usyk on the 23rd of December. So he has to come through this in good fashion. He doesn't want to be picking up any head clashes and cuts. He doesn't want to be picking up any kind of injury, because he's got, what, 8 weeks between the 2 fights? So with that in mind, it does play a part, or at least it could play a part on Saturday. I don't think it'll affect tactics or his mindset or his approach, because you can't let that kind of thing cloud you. But at the same time, it's not quite as simple as just get the win, because he's got to come out of the ring in good enough condition to get back in there if they're to deliver that fight on the day that we expect them to, in good shape.
Yeah, and listen, we've just spoken to Francis Ngannou. That's a guy confident. That's a guy who knows what he can do. He's always been so assured of himself. He's not just here to take part, take a few photos, you know, and dance around. I mean, literally, he didn't want to dance in the ring. He didn't actually want to show us anything in the ring. So that's a man with a quiet confidence here, looking to really cause the upset and shock the world on Saturday night like he always does. But, you know, it'll be up to Tyson to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you listen to Francis talk, and what kind of resonates from him is that he's been somebody who's been at the top of the sport, the combat sport, for a really long time. So he's a realist. He's not going to indulge in a load of absolute nonsense talk, the like of which I felt we did hear from Conor McGregor in the build-up to the Floyd Mayweather fight. Each to their own. He went about it slightly differently. He wears that cape of utter invincibility and supreme confidence and bombast basically at all times. Someone like Ngannou is slightly different, a slightly quieter demeanour, but the determination and the will and drive to succeed that he's had to make it from where he came from to where he is, it can never be underestimated. The only way I see this going wrong for Fury on Saturday is if he underestimates his opponent.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility. It is always a possibility because you can do all the training, you can do all the groundwork, you can do all the runs, but if you just don't have that slight little knot of fear in your stomach that it could go wrong, then that can translate into the kind of performance that can lead to problems.
Yeah, well, it's exactly that. But he is absolutely adamant, Tyson Fury, that he hasn't underestimated Francis Ngannou, that he is treating him with so much respect. He put in a 12-week camp for this, talked about how for the third Deontay Wilder fight, I think he only got 5 weeks. He had all sorts going on, but he only got 5 weeks to actually train for that fight. And look what happened. I mean, it was a brilliant, pulsating fight, but he did have to taste the canvas in that. So he is giving all the respect in the world here to Francis Ngannou, and he appreciates that he's got a guy in front of him coming to take his head off.
And I think as well that what's at stake here, that 23rd of December date potentially, that should serve to be enough in terms of motivation to guard against a lackluster display or committing that cardinal sin of underestimating your opponent. So if that date wasn't there and wasn't set, and it was maybe sometime next year, or that deal hadn't even been done or really spoken about, then I think that would be a little bit more of a factor potentially. But as it is, I think we're pretty safe from that.
Well, we are joined by Mr. Tommy Fury, the KSI conqueror, the Jake Paul conqueror. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, mate. I'm happy to be in Saudi again. I mean, obviously, I'm not fighting Jake Paul. It's Tyson's show. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm enjoying it, loving it already. What an atmosphere.
What an atmosphere. And look, as a brother, that's your brother there, right? You must be beaming with pride that he is able to do a fight like this. He's fighting Francis Ngannou, a massive crossover fight. He's really a man at the top of his game right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a massive, like you said, crossover fight. I'm used to them now. But what an atmosphere. I mean, that's what this is to me. This is an event. As far as the fight goes, it's Tyson's fight. He's going to dictate everything in there. I think, most people know that. It's Francis' first boxing fight, and he's fighting the best to ever do it. So it's a very big ask, but I just genuinely think whenever Tyson wants it to be over, it will be.
But he is taking it seriously, isn't he? That's what it seems like. We've seen at the launch press conference, he was bigger, he was heavier. Looking at him today, he's in good shape. It looks like he's taking it very seriously, Tommy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's put in more weeks more weeks of training than he did for Deontay Wilder. That just shows what you're dealing with right there. These guys who are not traditional boxers, they're harder to fight than traditional boxers because you don't know what's going to come. We don't know what Francis is going to do in there. He's never had a fight before. How do you prepare for someone like that? So he's very switched on. This is the sharpest I've ever seen him. I think he's going to go out there on Saturday and put on, a dominant performance, as we all know he should, but he's going to enjoy it and he's going to give every paying customer the value.
Well, listen, you can actually give us a bit of an insight into that in terms of fighting someone. When you're fighting a boxer, there's only a certain amount of things that they're going to do that they've been taught, that they've been schooled with. When you're fighting someone who is only just coming to boxing, like a KSI in your case, like a Francis Ngannou in Tyson's case, it can be a bit awkward, Tommy.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, as you see with media of the week, KSI was doing star jumps in the ring, he was running around, he was hanging on to me, he was doing everything but box. So, these guys, they're hard to prepare for, but Tyson's a veteran of the game, and, Tyson will adapt in there. To whatever Francis comes, Tyson will adapt. And I'm pretty sure, my verdict for the fight is, I think Tyson stops Ngannou. I do think he can get it, if he wants to, under 4 rounds.
One thing we were saying that's quite interesting about this too is that with that 23rd of December date in mind, he needs to win and win clean, as in no head clashes, no cuts, no injuries, and that's a slightly different aspect to a fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if the Usyk fight wouldn't have been there in December, he might have, got the rounds out, had a play about, played up for the cameras and whatnot. But you don't want to risk anything, especially with a massive unification fight looming. So I think now the fight in December, I think if he can get it done in 1 round, he'll get it done in 1 round. Because the last thing he needs, 8 weeks before the biggest fight, is a cut, it's a niggle, it's an injury. So I think he's going to go in there and he's going to look to get it done early.
well, he is the second Fury to fight in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It looks like this is where you guys fight now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want my next fight in Saudi. You know, I love Saudi Arabia. They treat us like kings every time we come here, and it's just absolutely amazing. Who wouldn't want to fight? I mean, look at the atmosphere. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. It's been a fantastic week so far. And Andy, just to confirm, we're not expecting any star jumps from Francis Ngannou on Saturday, are we?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't put Francis Ngannou and KSI in the same bracket.
Neither would I, definitely not. I'd rather fight KSI every day of the week than Francis Ngannou.
Just one question about Tyson's weight. It's always seemed to me that with heavyweights we get obsessed with their weight to a point that isn't really that useful. Am I right in thinking that he's a kind of character who, if he wants to manipulate his weight on the day, he can do it quite easily, just in terms of what he chooses to eat and drink or not eat and drink that day, and just he can mess with us a little bit if he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, the heavyweights. Heavyweights are heavyweights for a reason. They don't need to focus on weight. Tyson's boxing at a weight he feels comfortable at, and there's no need for him to get down in weight. There's no need for him to gain weight. Whatever he feels comfortable at during training camp, that's what he'll fight at. But his weight's bang on. He feels amazing. So roll on Saturday. We're all ready to go.
He's talked about having 10 more fights. I mean, it was only like this time last year he was talking about retiring. Do you think he's serious? Do you think he wants 10 more fights, Tommy?
Listen, Tyson changes like the wind, I don't know. You just got to enjoy him while he's here, because I know he's the best to ever do it. And when he's gone, he'll be very missed, because who else is doing these sort of shows? Nobody. He's at the pinnacle of the sport. He's been there for a long time now, and everyone needs to enjoy it and witness the greatest while he's here, because I think Tyson will only get his true respect when he's gone.
What is it about him that makes him the best heavyweight in the world? What has he got that the others haven't?
He's got everything. He's got size, speed, movement, power, range. He can box orthodox, southpaw. He can fight going forward. He can fight going back. No other heavyweight on the planet has the full package, and that's why Tyson's the best. And he's going to prove that on Saturday, as he should, and he's going to look good doing it.
Sounds like quite a tall task for Francis Ngannou, Tommy.
It's a tall order, but at the end of the day, I'm sure Francis is having a whale of a time. I mean, Francis is a part of this also. This is his show also, so I'm sure he's soaking up everything. And these are moments in time. It's a great moment. If Francis, whatever happens on Saturday, he's still been a part of this, and it's been an amazing thing to be a part of.
Just on Francis, I know you're a guy who likes a good story, and you've got admiration for people. Francis Ngannou was homeless, right? He kind of got away from Cameroon. He wasn't expected to. He wasn't expected to become a UFC heavyweight champion. He's been making the impossible possible his whole life. You must have some admiration for that, Tommy.
Oh, 100%. I like Francis. I mean, I think he's a lovely guy, and what he's done already, he's already won. From achieving the heavyweight title in the UFC to coming here, getting a very good payday, which he deserves. Fighting one of the best to ever do it. He's already won. The things that he's done and accomplished already, no other UFC person has. So I'll take me out to him, and may the best man win on Saturday.
When are we going to see you again?
I don't know. I'm going to enjoy my food, especially over here. I've had 2 fights this year. Obviously I'd love to be more active, but these fights are what they are. And I think early next year, I'm looking to get back out.
All right, well, great speaking to you, Tommy Fury. We'll let you go. Go and enjoy the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Well, there is Tommy Fury. I'll tell you, the insight about fighting someone who's not necessarily used to boxing, I think that's quite insightful there. Obviously, look, there's levels between Francis Ngannou and KSI, but fundamentally, it's still someone who hasn't necessarily had all those years of being taught the fundamentals of boxing.
No, it's a reasonable point. It's a decent point. I see it in the amateurs quite a lot sometimes, in the preliminary rounds of a World Championships, for example. I saw quite a lot of it a couple of years ago, where you had a fighter, a well-schooled, very experienced fighter, in against someone with nothing like the same amount of experience, and they're pulling off all these manoeuvres that you haven't seen for a long, long time, and you have to take your time to have a little bit of a look at it. So I do think he'll do that on Saturday, because, as I say, the danger is when you're in against someone that unorthodox, arms and legs in places you don't normally expect them, and heads, that something could happen. You could get tangled up, you could put your shoulder out, anything's possible in there. And I think Tommy's right. He won't want to hang around, but I think he will stop, have a look, see if he can pick up the read of him, the beat of him, and then look to put him away, because there's too much at stake here to be looking to try and carry anyone or anything like that. I feel Floyd Mayweather did that against Conor McGregor for me. I absolutely think he did. He could have finished him at any point after having a little bit of a look, but carried him into the later rounds. You can't be doing that here, because there's too much on the line.
way too risky, and also with Conor McGregor, you know.
Okay, so there are plenty of people wandering around ringside. I just need to see if there's any particular direction I should go in here. I'm just skirting across the right-hand side behind the banks of photographers over to the corner of the ring. One of the Fury brothers just sitting away to my right-hand side. Joseph Parker milling around, Andy Lee as well. So I'll just head down towards the corner, and lots of dignitaries as well. Lots of dignitaries. Okay, I'm being ushered this way. We're taking the long way round, the long route. Solomon Dakers, good to see you.
See you again.
How are you enjoying the atmosphere?
It's lovely, man. It's, you know, look at it. Great production I've got here. It's next level, man. It's good that it's nice and warm on the evening.
So have you been part of Team Fury during the build-up?
Yeah, I've been, you know, in the gym sparring in Morecambe, you know, for the last 4 weeks. You know, getting down and dirty, doing the hard yards. Yeah, man, we're working hard.
And how have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a good experience for me. You know, the sparring first and foremost, you know, is what it is, hard work. And then coming over here, you know, you get to enjoy things like this, great atmosphere, great production, you know, and I'm just soaking it all up.
And we were just talking about the fight itself, and we all know that Fury is a massive, massive favourite. Full respect for Ngannou for taking him on his own turf. But he cannot, firstly, underestimate him. I don't believe that he will. But secondly, he does have to try and win this fight and win it clean without any mishaps or injuries because of the date that's looming. And with all of that in mind, you know, it's going to be a seek and destroy mission, you'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's prepared for this just like it's any other, you know, top world title contender. You know, we've been sparring hard, doing the rounds, 12 rounds, you know, 15 round sessions. He's not going to take his eye off the ball. He knows with these guys that are not boxers, they can be awkward, they can be tricky, and he's got power, you know, he's a massive heavyweight. So, you know, he's going to be very switched on in there, but I don't think he said himself, if he gets caught, if he gets hurt or whatever happens, he's got to win this fight. Don't matter what's in the future, he'll do what it takes to make sure he puts on a performance here first and foremost.
Okay, just before I let you go, you're the reigning English heavyweight champion currently, so you'll be very interested in the fight between Fabio Wardley and David Adeleye for the British and Commonwealth.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm here. You know, my eyes are really on that fight, to be honest. The winner of that fight, I want to be the next one in line there, because I believe that British title is something I can take in my next fight, you know, after that. So, got my eye on that very, very closely.
Okay, thanks very much. Always good to catch up with you. Okay, so I'm just being marshalled into a seat next to Shane Fury. Shane, you're a veteran of these big fight weeks now. Has this one been any different to others?
I think it's the press-wise and everything else. I think it's been much bigger than what we've ever seen, I believe. But you're looking at, in my opinion, probably the greatest heavyweight in history. Might be a bit biased, but even the haters, he's there for an argument, isn't he? Look at the way we can move. He's 20 stone now. Come on, unbelievable.
Do you feel like he's reached the peak of his powers yet, or is there more to come?
I don't know. At 35, how much more is there to come? We're realist. 35, he's not showed no decline yet, but at 35, he might go overnight. But at the minute, through the camp, he's done everything what's been asked of him, and done it well as well.
Well, it's an incredible ride that he's on, and he continues to take us on it. I mean, the second half of this year, the Netflix series, this, and then the date looming at the end of the year, I don't think anyone's really had a run like that.
No, he is a big star at the minute, isn't he? But he's had his ups and he's had his downs, and I think it's all developed and it's all made what he is now. It's built the character. All the negatives and all the positives has actually built the character what you're seeing at the minute.
Okay, Shane, thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Always a pleasure. So I'll just slide along to my right-hand side and just sidle in next to Big John Fury. John, like Shane, you're a veteran of these fight weeks, of these build-ups now. Has this one been any different?
No, it's been a marvellous occasion. It's exceptional, magical. But when you look at the man performing there, just moving around the ring, you can use his class, you know. I've no doubt in my mind, you know, what's going to happen, but, you know, it's a spectacle again. But you never know in boxing. It's the strangest game in the world. But you're looking at the best heavyweight in the last 50 to 60 years. And the way he's moving around there now, I'm not a bit worried, to be honest with you, no.
I mean, is there any kind of apprehension at all about Saturday? Because with the date, the potential date of the 23rd of December in mind, I've been saying this to people the last 20 minutes or so, he needs to win and emerge completely unscathed, doesn't he? No cuts, no bruises, no nothing.
Well, yeah, the thing is, though, we're only looking at Francis Ngannou. Like I've said to him, concentrate on Saturday night. As far as we're concerned, the 23rd is not existing till after this Saturday night. Ngannou's got to be dealt with. He's got to be 100% focused, because all these men bring one thing: bombs. And if they land, it can be over. So he's got to focus on what he's got to do. We'll talk about the 23rd after Saturday.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
No worries, thank you.
I'll just weave back around to my left-hand side. I'm being shepherded towards the far side of the ring. Lots of people all on their feet round ringside, trying to get a view of Tyson Fury in action. He says he wants 10 more fights, but you just never know when you might get the opportunity to see him again, potentially. Took a good while to get his hands wrapped by Sugar Hill and get gloved up, but now just getting his gloves removed down at ringside, just nodding his head, moving those shoulders. And Sugar Hill, of course, in addition to the team after Okay, so let's bring in somebody now who can enlighten me on the MMA side of things, Caroline Pearce. So Caroline, I'm a boxing person. Everybody I've spoken to really is from that side of the divide. Are we underestimating, or in your view, even disrespecting Francis Ngannou a bit?
I think a lot of people are, actually. You look at Francis Ngannou and he is the hardest hitter out there. I mean, we've seen the way he's floored people like Alistair Overeem within the UFC, Stipe Miocic. I mean, these are the best of the best within our sport. And I think even he's got the Guinness record in terms of hardest hitter. I know Tyson Fury hasn't been measured, and you know he can't really say that he's going to hit harder than him. But we're going to see. But with Francis Ngannou, from where he comes from Cameroon to Paris to where he is today now in Vegas, where he trains.
Actually, just tell us a bit about that, because the drive to succeed for someone like him, for a great champion, is absolutely huge. He's quite, I wouldn't say softly spoken, but he was quite phlegmatic when we spoke to him, but he's been through a lot, hasn't he?
He has, and I think in his mind, if he can survive what he survived to get to where he is today, he can do anything. And that's what he believes. And I just spoke to him a moment ago, actually, as he came out from this open workout. And I said, what's been Mike Tyson's advice to you? And he just said, Tyson Fury is just a man. Any man can be beaten. And my opinion is, I think Francis, don't necessarily try to box Tyson Fury. Go out there, make it awkward, make it uncomfortable. When you haven't fought an MMA fighter that boxes differently, there's a case to be made that those punches are come at you from different angles, and Tyson Fury has acknowledged that himself as well. So I think Francis has to use what he's got, what's different about him, and if he can land, he can knock anybody out.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much. Nice insight there from Caroline Pearce. I just pounced on my old pal Ziad Al Mayouf, who we spoke to yesterday again, the leading light of Saudi pro boxing at the moment. We've seen you a few times over the last few months. You're nice and close to the ring here, having a look at Tyson Fury. Is he a fighter you particularly admire?
It's just something you never get used to. Tyson Fury has always been an idol of mine, and I grew up watching him on TV. And for him to be in Saudi Arabia in front of my eyes right now is something, if you would have asked me 5, 7, 8 years ago and you told me would it happen, I'd tell you it's impossible. But anything is possible, I guess, in Saudi Arabia now and today.
Okay, Ziad, always good to see you. Always good to see you. Okay, let's just have a little bit more of a scout around. I think I might have run out of gas at ringside here just for the moment, so I'll slide back in behind the desk with Dev. Unless I've missed anyone out, I don't think I have. Everybody thronged around ringside, Dev.
I thought thought you was going to have to kick off there. He gave you a bit of a second take. I thought, are we going to see the fist fly of Andy Clark? But thankfully not. You've left it to the boxers. Well done.
No, it's always good fun. It's good fun roaming around because there's people who turn up at ringside during fight week, during fight night, who you don't necessarily expect to see, and that's another aspect about Saturday, isn't it? The list of names that we've been hearing who are going to be there in attendance it's something else.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. It's everyone who's everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of some of the best heavyweights ever will actually be here watching this. And hey, you may be looking at one of the best heavyweights ever. I think you are. He will tell you that he is the #1 heavyweight of all time. I've seen interviews with him this week saying that he doesn't believe anyone can beat him. And I think we're getting a bit of an indication here. We saw him do pads orthodox. We saw him do pads effortlessly in southpaw as well. 6'9", 270, 280 pounds. A nightmare to fight for any heavyweight.
Yes, and that's always been the thing with him. And what's been really interesting about the last few years has not just been the comeback, which was incredible really, but it was a stylistic shift after that first fight against Wilder. I'll be honest, I thought he took that fight against Wilder the first time around as a cash out. I think he'd had the first couple of comeback fights. He maybe felt it wasn't really there anymore, or he didn't really know if it was there anymore, and decided that he needed to take a big one for big money in case he lost to a lesser name in the meantime, and then that fight would disappear. And I was totally and utterly wrong. And sometimes being wrong is the best thing, because this sport has a way of surprising you. And sitting up late tonight watching that was incredible. Watching him get off the canvas in the 12th round was absolutely extraordinary. And off the back of that, you felt like he would think, well, I so nearly beat him coming back in from the cold. I just need to box like I did again, have some better judging at ringside, and I can beat him. But instead he decided to completely change style, change trainer, told us he was going to go out on a seek and destroy mission. I didn't really believe him, and then on the night he absolutely battered Deontay Wilder. It was, again, it was quite something to see, and that's how he's gone about it since.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And in terms of that first Deontay Wilder fight, I think sometimes, just like in boxing, as we see him bad up Sugar Hill there, sometimes it's all about timing. Tyson Fury spent so long out of the ring, had a couple of warm-up fights. He was really a sleeping giant in the heavyweight division. The guys at the top were Deontay Wilder, they were Anthony Joshua, but they weren't fighting each other. An opening opened up. Tyson Fury was there, he said, I'll fight him, and he walked right towards the fire that is Deontay Wilder. And hey, over 3 fights, he most certainly put that fire out. I think he's proved his worth in terms of that trilogy will be remembered for decades and decades to come.
It will. I was at the third fight at the T-Mobile in Las Vegas, and it's the best fight I've ever commentated on, and I'm not sure I'll get a better one because of the way that it toed and froed. To have a truly great fight, it has to go one way and then the other. Wilder started fairly well, I thought, getting on the jab. He was heavier for that fight than we'd seen him previously, but then he got put down and you thought to yourself, okay, here we go again. And then in the next round he got up and put Tyson down twice. And the second time he's kind of staring, not exactly vacantly out of the ring, but he was staying down waiting for his faculties to come back before he got back up. And this is the amazing thing about these athletes, is that they have that ability to hear the count, realise where they are physically and mentally, that they're not ready, but 2 seconds later they can be. And he managed to get through it. And then just took over again. But right the way up until the very end, Wilder was capable of hurting him. He did hurt him towards the end of the 10th, I think, before really in the 11th, Deontay Wilder collapsed through exhaustion. And I had enormous admiration for him that night, because to come back and fight the way he did after what happened to him in the second fight, we talked about it with Joseph Parker earlier on. Wilder showed us that he has got that dog. Absolutely. You know, you have to literally carry him out of there. And I think Fury, whether he cares to admit it or not, you know, has got a lot of respect for Wilder.
Of course, and look, you talk about Wilder's got the dog. Well, Tyson Fury most certainly has the dog. We were talking about this on the journey up here. Sometimes you just get fighters who have it, who refuse to lose, who have to be knocked out in order to leave the ring. Tyson Fury has that, but the thing is, you can't knock him out because he just gets back up again, and he's showing that in his career. And one thing I want to touch on, what we've seen in this workout, He's sitting down on some of his punches, not doing it just now, but he was sitting down on some of them, almost breaking the hands of poor Sugar Hill in there. And I guess that's the new style of Tyson Fury, the one that boxed Vladimir Klitschko back in 2015. Fleet of foot, moving about, boxing moving. It feels like we don't see that guy anymore. This is now a 20-stone destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. It's still there if he needs it, that movement. He's 35 now, and you never know. Maybe the feet aren't quite as quick as they used to be, but it looks like they are when you see him indulging himself in the ring like he has been over the course of the last few minutes. But what he wants is to give the public what they want, which is knockouts. Now that's what boxing's about. Yeah. That's the currency of boxing, is the knockout. It's a brutal thing, and when you see one at ringside sometimes it can make you wince. But let's not pretend. We come to boxing because we want to see people get knocked out. Not all of the time, because it would lose its value, but every now and again you see a thunderous knockout, and there is nothing like it. The adrenaline shot that goes around ringside is absolutely wild. Yeah. And that's what he wants. That's what he wants to give people.
Well, that is now what he is delivering. He is on a streak of knockouts. Of course, Derek Chisora was just stopped. Before that, Dillian Whyte was just stopped. Deontay Wilder has been stopped twice. He keeps knocking out, and at a very good level as well. In terms of knocking out Deontay Wilder, we've talked about how hard that was. And he does it on the big stage. Look, he's enjoying himself here as well. If ever there was a man born for this stage, I think we're looking at him, Andy. It is Tyson Fury.
It is. You get all sorts of different personalities in boxing, different kinds of confidence. But Fury's one of those true performers, and everything with him is a performance. He genuinely enjoys this. And I think that's why when he dabbled with retirement, he realised that it wasn't really going to work, because this is just too much fun.
Well, let's hear now from the one and only Tyson Fury.
Tyson, what would you like to say to all the great boxing fans watching around the world?
Are you ready for a war? I'd just like to say to everybody as well, thank you for turning out to see me tonight in the great kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What a place. How about this? I'm on fire. I feel fantastic. I'm 35 years young, and I'm ready to knock a motherfucker out. Get up!
Have a classic Tyson Fury. Are you ready for a war? I mean, he looks ready for a war. I don't know if he's actually hoping to go to war on Saturday with Francis Ngannou. I think we're going to head back to Thomas Schreiber very shortly. Well, we're hoping to grab a quick chat with Tyson Fury. Once he's done here, he's worked up a bit of a sweat. A nice little workout for him. We talked about how Francis Ngannou didn't want to show anyone anything. Tyson showed us a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. With someone like Fury, we know what he can do. Basically, we know that he can do everything, and that's not just trying to flatter him, that's just a fact. He can do it any which way. He's demonstrated that, so he can get up in there, and there don't need to be any games. He doesn't need to try and play with anybody. If anything, he could try and intimidate his opponent by showing him the full array. Yeah. If Ngannou's stuck around to watch this, just looking around, I don't think he has. I don't think he would really feel the need to be honest. So whilst Francis Ngannou, as you say, didn't want to show us too much, Fury could just get up there and enjoy himself, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, he's a man who's enjoying himself. I wonder how the press conference is going to go tomorrow. At the launch press conference, as I said, it was quite respectful, it was quite cool, quite calm, until Tyson Fury started talking about how he could beat him up in a cage. So I wonder if the press conference tomorrow will pick up at the same kind of pace that the last one finished. And if we start talking about cage fighting, cage duels, well, Francis Ngannou might have an awful lot to say about how he would deal with Tyson Fury, let alone in a boxing ring, which he intends to do on Saturday.
I think Fury's the kind of guy, basically, whatever context he's in, he wants somebody to come back at him. He wants a tussle. You know, he wants a verbal spar if that's all that's available, which is all that will be available to him tomorrow. He wants you to give him something and to entertain. And, you know, we talk about dance partners in the ring, but outside the ring you need them too. And I do feel like the best way to deal with him is to just turn in your dance card and walk out the door, because if you try and tangle with him on on that setting,
you're not going to win.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win. Wilder knew that by the third fight.
Put headphones on.
He opted out. Dillian Whyte knew that, so he never turned up for anything. I understand it. It's smart, but that's not what this event is.
Yeah.
That it is required of Francis Ngannou to fulfill all his obligations, and there was never any potential for him not doing so. As for how he handles Fury, maybe he'll find him easier than most because, as I say, he is at the top of the tree in his own sport.
Well, Tyson Fury is orchestrating here a big team photo. He looks pretty happy with how it's going. He takes his place. He takes a pose. Let's get some snaps. Now that is a solid team. You can see there Joseph Parker, part of the camp. Tommy Fury, of course, with a tank top on. Big Brendan, big security who follows him everywhere he goes. It's a big team. They got a big task. They got a big few months ahead of them. If, of course, we've got Ngannou on Saturday, and all the talk is about Oleksandr Usyk at the end of the year as well. This team, this man, they're going to be very, very busy indeed.
They are, and talking to his dad, John Fury, his take on it was, look, as far as we're concerned, December the 23rd doesn't even exist. I understand that as an approach, as a policy, it's a sound one, but it doesn't really work. It's impossible because we do know about December the 23rd, and you can try and put it out of your mind as much as you like, but it's there, it's a real thing. But I don't expect it to have too much bearing, but I do think, as discussed with Tommy, that it will mean that there will be no playing in there. There will be no playing in there because he needs to just take care of business and move on.
Yeah, absolutely that. And we see Tyson Fury getting a few selfies in. We are trying to coax him out of the ring for a quick word. He's already addressed the crowd here. He has told them, well, he has asked them, are you ready for a war? The crowd responded essentially yes, with a roar. I think the crowd are ready for a bit of a war. I don't know if we'll get one. I'm not sure what we're going to get on Saturday, but the one thing with Tyson Fury is you just never know, and there's so much intrigue.
That's true. I feel like Ngannou, as Caroline Pearce was saying, what Ngannou can't do is go in there and give us a poor imitation of Tyson Fury. That would be completely pointless.
He can't try and box him, right?
He can't try and box him. That would be just, there's no percentage in that. So I'd imagine he's devised some kind of game plan which he feels will upset Fury, confuse Fury, and then he's just going to have to try and unload. Just saying it makes me realise how difficult it's going to be, but that absolutely is what he has to try and do.
Well, look, that's where perhaps the person who's saying it can help. I'm sure Andy Clark, if you told me, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, maybe it won't have the same impact as Mike Tyson telling him what he's got to do. So I guess, every inch counts, right? Every little helps. And I'd rather have Mike Tyson in my corner for a task like that than not have him.
No, that's absolutely right. And there's going to be other people that he'll be able to have spoken to during the weeks. This is quite interesting because he's spending a long time in the ring there. They've got the towel wrapped around his neck. If you're the trainer, if you're Sugar Hill, you probably want to get him out of here as quick as you can now. We don't, obviously, because we need him to come down here and talk to us. But when you get a sweat on in the way that he has, what you don't want is him cooling down too much. So they've got that towel around his neck to try and make sure that doesn't happen. But, I wonder what it's really like training Tyson. In one sense, it should be amazing because you've got so much to work with and he knows his own body really, really well. But in another sense, he does seem pretty uncontrollable.
Yeah, well, I think Tyson Fury is going to come and join us. We've got our man on the ground, Matt Rich, directing, trying to bring him in. And I think we will hear from the Gypsy King, from the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, very, very shortly. I think he's got a few gloves to sign, a few babies to kiss, as you do as a World Heavyweight Champion. Photos here and there. Selfies galore, but you expect that. If you are Tyson Fury, you are going to be stopped at every corner, every moment for a photo. And let's have a chat with the man himself. Tyson, how are you?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. What a pleasure to be here tonight with you guys.
You look like you love that. Absolutely loved
listen,
it.
I'm having fun in there. It's what it's about, winning heavyweight champion of the world, in his element, having fun in Saudi Arabia, in the sunshine, in the heat. Does it get any better?
I didn't think we were going to get you out the ring because you did about 20 minutes at the end. They was like, we're going to bring him in. We're going to bring him in. I was like, when? You was enjoying it in the ring afterwards.
Yeah, I was enjoying myself. You know, we're in fight week. I'm all rested and I'm all energised. I'm ready to rock and roll. I feel like I'm rewinding the clock back to my earlier days.
Did you watch Francis Ngannou's workout?
I didn't know. It doesn't really bother me what he does, to be fair.
Well, he didn't show anything.
I'm the best version of me, and if he can deal with that, good luck to him.
He didn't really show us anything, did he, Andy?
No, not particularly. We spoke to him afterwards and he said that he deliberately wasn't, doing too much. And when we spoke to him yesterday, he said that he hasn't really studied you too much. He's just been concentrating on himself as well.
It's usually the best idea. But I'm in there floating like a butterfly. 19 stone, can you believe that? And 6'9". I'm moving like that. Wow, that's shocking. It's not fair, is it, really?
There was a moment in there, Tyson, where I saw you do a little bit of this, a little bit of red rag to the bull. Is that what's happening on Saturday?
That's what's happening. He's the bull, I'm the matador. 99.99% of the time, the matador wins.
Let me tell you a quote that he said. Just bring your mic up a tad. He said that he's doing you a favour, by the way, by having this fight with you because you wouldn't go over to the MMA world and fight him there. So him coming here is doing you a favour. Thoughts?
Okay, that's a good quote, but let me give you a quote now. Francis Ngannou is a big fat sausage. How about that? Have we ever seen the man take his top off? No. He's a big fat sausage.
I kind of suspect he's probably in quite a good shape though, isn't he?
I think he's a big fat sausage. That's why he won't take his top off. He's embarrassed of his body.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Honestly, believe it.
We'll find
if it
out.
was up to Francis, he would fight me with his t-shirt on. Facts.
I think he's in great shape. He looked in tremendous shape.
I don't. I think he's a big fat sausage. You want to see a man in good shape? Hold that.
Come on. Let's see it.
This is a man in good shape. Ready to do fucking 30 rounds. That's a man in good shape there. Boom! That's a man in shape. That's what you call shape. This man is fit for 25 rounds, non-stop. That's fit.
Anyone who's saying that you haven't taken this fight seriously, well, look at the shape you're in now, compare it to what you were in at the press conference.
Look at the shape I'm in. I'm ripped. I'm an Adonis. And I'm ready for a fight.
Tyson, we won't keep you any longer. I know you're ready for a fight. Tell me one thing, though. You asked everyone here, are you ready for a war? Are you expecting a war?
Yeah, if it's not, then I'll be disappointed. I told you that already. I've trained for 12, well, I've got to say 12 rounds, because I'm a 12-round fighter, but 10 rounds or less. And if it's anything easier, then I've had an easy night. But if not, then I'm prepared for battle, no matter how I get it.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone enjoy fight week more than you.
Nobody.
Mean, this is your addiction, isn't it?
Yes, I am addicted. I'm 35 years old. I've got in excess of 150 million in my account. I don't need to be here to box. I love this, and I get paid for it. Come on!
Drop that mic, Tyson.
Peace out.
Off you go. WBC and lineal world heavyweight champion, the one and only Tyson Fury. I mean, if ever anyone is born for fight week, I mean, it's him, right?
Yeah, it is, and you know, his mental health struggles have been well documented, and he's admitted that he needs boxing. He needs the focus of it, he needs the ambition of it, he needs all of it, basically. Retirement didn't work for him because he missed it too much.
Yeah.
And whilst you're still able to do it, and he is still very much able to do it, why not keep doing it?
Why not keep
We always
doing
want
it?
to see our stars go out at the top or as near to it as we can get, but very often that isn't what happens. But there's no sign of his powers waning just yet. There really isn't. You know, he's 35, but he's in good shape, and who knows how long he could go on for.
You said something there. You said he needs boxing. I think at the moment, boxing needs him too.
Yeah, I'd agree.
A larger-than-life character. And Andy, look, pleasure as always having you with me here today. Great little walking around as well. Really like that.
Thanks.
We'll do more of that during the week. And that is us here today. We've seen Tyson Fury, we've seen Francis Ngannou, we've seen them have a little workout. Tyson Fury has asked the crowd here, are you ready for a war? They sort of said yes. He's certainly ready for a war. Are you ready for this? Saturday night, we're going to find out who the baddest man on the planet is. Stick with us across social media for all the build-up. Thank you.
take a walk with the full moon. Roll button and zipped up. It's all kicking off soon. Better stay well equipped, bruv. I don't know about your goons. Round there, everything lift up. Whether it's draw, win or lose, none of my friend them give up.
Let's do it. Ain't come here to talk it out, let's get into it. Froze up now, he froze to death, you should've blew it. Told you you can't with us, you should've knew it. Yeah, we gon' do the most, yes. Foot all on they throat, yes. Oh, you wanted to ghost the bitch. Made it out alive, I'm blessed. Leave one other guy now. We was taught to die together. Get put down wherever. We gon' ride forever.
Daddy, we came to start it. Bring the paper, spread the pressure, wrap them up like origami, yo. Daddy, we came to start it. It's pepper if they ever want a problem in this party, yo.
Ronaldo, what do you think about France's chances against Fury?
Next question.
Yo. Headshot in the middle of the battlefield. Don't mind going out like that. But guess what, man's out here gunning. Black bandana gang, no white flags. But I'm devilish, I walk with a trident. Criminals move in silence. Champion team full of migrants. Make your brain fly like pilots.
They do what he say, I don't run mine. Anytime, every time, front line. Yeah, I ain't going outside not one time. Boy, better not cross that gun line. Head up, it's on, no high five. Straight to it, no talking, that's my kind. You handle that, let him drive. When it come to this stuff, I'm top 5.
Daddy, we came to start it. Bring the paper, spread the pressure, wrap them up like origami, yo. Daddy, we came to start it. It's pepper if they ever want a problem in this party. Yo.
Let's do it.
Yo.
Let's do it.
Battle of the baddest. Riyadh season.